All right, well, we'll go ahead and get started here tonight. And I was talking to a friend a few days ago, and the subject came up about knowing your worth. And the reason why it came up was because of a video that I had seen. And there was a video, well, they shared it with me. There was a video that was on Instagram, and it really just say a whole lot. This is the video here in question, this one right here. Don't be easy, be a challenge. When living with a man, be as expensive and difficult as this woman, especially if you are unmarried. Don't be easy, be a challenge. Well, what exactly do they mean? This is what they meant.
Shopping together. All right. Oop.
I am not going there.
Come on, babe, we're going here.
Babe, these prices are all expensive.
If we're living together, you're gonna eat the food that I want.
These eggs are $7.
No, they're 14. It's $12.
It's like $2 at Ralph's.
I know my worth.
But we should have a pizza night tonight.
Yes, I make this pizza. It's egg white crust, uncured turkey, veggies all over, vegan cheese. It's so good.
What about just Domino's?
Honey, even though I'm taller than you in heels, can you grab this?
$61.
I know my worth.
I would love to try the zero sugar rosé. We're gonna buy it before I try it, so why don't you just put it in the cart? Well, if you don't want to do my pizza, we can always do bean pasta.
No, I'm okay.
My $60 egg white pizza's sounding real good, huh? I know my worth.
Come on, babe, I want to bring you here. You're getting a little fat from all the Air Ones maybe.
What is this?
It's
Gym?
only $250 a month. It's no big deal.
First time grocery shopping together.
And so that was basically it right there. Needless to say, a gentleman will find himself going very broke very quickly hanging out with that. But there are two things in particular I want to point out. Number one, I want to point out that this is the advice that females are giving each other. There's like I say, it's an Instagram page, Imperial Feminine. It's the advice they're giving each other. And it sounds like a skit, doesn't it? It sounds like a skit, except every man in here has experienced something like this. When you look in her refrigerator, when you look in her driveway, when you look in her closet, things cost one thing. But when you show up and there's an opportunity for you to pay, all of a sudden we go somewhere else. It's all of a sudden it goes platinum plated. In case you didn't notice that. It goes platinum plated. I'm going to come back to that, but I also want to come to one other thing here. You notice she kept saying something. She kept saying, I know my worth. I know my worth. I'm so glad that somebody made a video pointing this out, because this is basically the go-to phrase for financial abuse. Financial victimization and abuse that men are being victimized with today. It's become the slogan of female abusers everywhere. I know my worth. I know my worth. I know my worth. Now, they never say that to their employers. They don't know their worth there. Pookie and Ray Ray didn't know their worth there. This only comes up with a fella that they think can pay it. Ladies, I gotta read the mail tonight. It only comes up with a fella that they think can pay it. If you're a guy that she determines you can pay it, then all of a sudden, it becomes a constant mantra. Look it up. It becomes a constant repeated phrase of, I know my worth, I know my worth, I know my worth. But there's something I want you, the men, to understand here about this. There's something I want you to understand here. Fellas, when you hear a woman say, I know my worth, when you hear a woman say, I know my worth, I want you to understand what she really means when she says that. When a woman tells you that she knows her worth, I want you to understand what that means is she's saying, I know your worth. She's talking to you, fellas. She's talking to you. What she's saying is, I know your worth. I know what you got. I know what you have. I know what you can elevate me with. So it's not, I know my worth. What she's saying is, I know your worth. I know what my worth should be to you. And the reason why I'm pointing this out tonight is because this is about power dynamics, not about dating. This is about power dynamics and the things that you're going to learn here tonight, and I'm going to go over here with you tonight. These are things that you'll use with your CPA. These are things you'll use for your business plan. These are things you'll use with your banker. Because there are the two ends of business. Well, net worth, three ends: net worth, networking, and negotiation. Those are the three ends of business. Net worth, networking, and negotiation. And where most men today are failing is in the ability to negotiate. There was something that I was taught very, very young as a teenager when I met one of the first millionaires in my life that I had met. I actually had worked for him. And as you all remember, he broke me of that very, very early. I got to see how business was done, and he broke me of that faulty notion very, very early. When he sat there and told me, the price is the price. You don't ever go down on your price. You let the customer figure out how they're going to pay it, but you don't ever go down on your price. I was told that as a teenager. I have stood by it ever since. When I went to work in corporate America, I learned exactly why you have to stand by your price. I learned exactly why that was. And I'm going to tell you all here in just a moment. However, before we go any further, I would like to take a moment here to remind you all here. I want to thank all of you for joining us on tonight's program. Thank you to everyone who has contributed on PayPal, CashApp, Super Chat, Venmo. Thank you very much for your support. We appreciate that. And also, I would like to remind everyone to remember to like tonight's program. There's a reason why I have YouTube and why I have Patreon. The folks who show up on Patreon, they like what we do here, but they also see the value of it. Folks on YouTube, however, there's a different issue there. You see, the issue that this work is another thing that I was taught by another person that I met decades and decades ago. Once again, when I was a teenager, I was in my late teens, I was like 19. I met a man then, and he had told me something. I had actually undervalued a business that he was taking a look at, and I said that the folks were asking too much for that business. And he sat there, and he was a black fella, and he told me, he said, that's what's wrong with black folk. They don't believe in paying what something is worth. They don't believe in paying what something is worth. So what happens is black people tend to get together in either small or large crowds of individuals spinning their wheels. They tend to gather together large groups of fellas who have nothing to offer and females worth nothing to offer. And so it all becomes spitballing contests of folks throwing useless information and useless statements back and forth between each other, not anything you actually pick up and use. What makes us different here is what we talk about and discuss is practical. However, in the general audience of people, that's not always valued. There's a reason why the average male remains the average male for the remainder of his days. Because he doesn't actually think that any of this is worth it. Or he thinks it's worth it, but he doesn't think it's worth the price. And in this case here, the only thing we ask of you is a like. It doesn't even cost money here. But the reason why I do give a lot more of the more valuable information on Patreon is because they value it. So just to make a very, very brief point about that, if you want to know why it is that the general public remains the general public and remains very, very salty, very, very agitated, and as people become more successful, they become less concerned about what the general public thinks, because the general public got where it is for a reason. Now, that's going to be a very hurtful thing for a lot of you to hear, but the general public got where it is for a reason. You see, if you are not motivated enough to even hit a like button for something that changes your life, then I'd be a damn fool to think that you are going to apply and invest the time, the effort, the sweat equity, the perseverance, the sacrifice necessary to actually implement these things. I am not an inclusive platform. I'm an exclusive platform. I don't look to bring in the masses and the hordes. I want to bring in the elite. And that's why I use words like the elite. I use words like exclusive. Every week you get at least 2 or 3 men who are calling me and saying, Jason, I took the advice you gave me a year ago, 2 years ago, and it's completely transformed my life. I'm in a whole new tax bracket. It's great. It's wonderful. There's nobody you know on YouTube, not Robert Kiyosaki, damn sure not Grant Cardone, Cadario right there in the super chat. I don't discuss high value men. I've built high value men. I'm not here for entertainment. I'm here to change things. But you have to actually value that first. So on tonight's program, I just wanted to make that clear. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about here. Where the likes are sitting at right now, the ratio, that's a good ratio for it. That's the kind of thing you should see. That's a good ratio. But for everyone else here, just understand there's a reason you're sitting where you are. If all you do is see this stuff as entertainment, just understand mankind does not have any natural predators. Mankind is unique on planet Earth because mankind does not have any natural predators. Not anymore, he doesn't. But mankind does have one unnatural predator. And that unnatural predator is the free market system. That unnatural predator is capitalism. And if you are going to survive encountering that particular predator, then you have to be prepared. But let's make no mistake about it. We do have a predator today. It's just not a natural one. These can also be very difficult things to hear because you have to hear about where you're wrong. You have to hear about where you're in error. You have to hear about where your parents were stupid, where your parents were ignorant, where they didn't know, where you followed bad advice, and philosophies that may upset you. Philosophies that may upset you because what you want to hear is that everything is okay. That's what you want to hear. What you want to hear is you will not be required to compete. That's what you want to hear. What you want to hear is that you are going to be able to sit around. Let's be clear. I've talked about this for over a decade. Can we just get to the real reasons right here why there are so many males in this world today? There's so many people in this world today who are angry, but I'm talking about the guys, because the fellas, I'm talking to you tonight. The reason why most males today are whining, complaining, you want to know the real reason for it? Because you are not respected. Which is why I call tonight's program Men Know Your Worth. Because understand something, even if the females are absolutely ass backward wrong in what they consider to be their worth, at least they put that at the top of their vocabulary. Even if they're wrong, even if they never get it, at least they have a vocabulary that recognizes and acknowledges this. That's a tough thing for the fellas to understand because the females at least have a floor. As I've explained to you all many times, when it comes to sales negotiation, the women have a floor. They have at least a bare minimum that they expect. The fellas, on the other hand, that tends to be a little bit different. I'm not talking about a hand-picked few here or there. I'm talking about the general males in society in general. Males today in society don't actually have a floor, not in general. And to the fellas listening to me right now, you know I'm telling the truth. Take a look at the average guy sitting next to you. He really doesn't make a distinction between whether or not he lays down with a 10 or a 1. Fellas, if I'm telling the truth, that the average male next to you, when you go to the gas station, when you go to the grocery store, when you go to your job, does the average male next to you actually have any real concrete standard for the female who represents him? If your answer is yes, Jason, the average guy that I know, the average male I see, he does. Give me the thumbs up emoji. But if your answer is Jason, the average guy doesn't, give me the trash can emoji in the chat room. If you believe that the average male that you know actually has a standard for those females, some of the guys here apparently misunderstood the question. Listen again. If you say that the average male that you know, the average male that you see, he actually does have a standard for the females that he meets, give me the thumbs up emoji. Bunch of fellas in here lying, or at least their standard of a 10 is a Mississippi 8. So a lot of the fellas lie when you ask this. And just understand, these are names you never saw before either. These are names you never saw before, because you got to understand, dopey dudes love to be contrary because there's no consequences. Remember I taught you all, there are no consequences. There are no consequences because nobody's expecting anything from them. So they can sit online and do stupid things. Nobody's actually expecting anything from them. So the class clown is the guy who runs around, "Ooh, Lizzo is sexy, thumbs up. Jason, I know plenty. The average man I know, he got standards, thumbs up." So just remember, that's where that comes from. That's why I'm saying here tonight, I want you to organize and reorganize the way you think. Because I'm so glad that the person who put this video together isolated that phrase. Didn't have a black woman doing it either. Isolated that phrase. That when she's hitting him up to spend more money, she says, "I know my worth." When in reality, you're spending his money, not yours. Therefore, it's not your worth that you've calculated. It's his worth. And I want the fellas to understand that what that means, it doesn't mean what a lot of you misconstrue it to mean. It means that the power is in your hands. But I want to advise you all of a few things here, because you've heard phrases over the years. You've heard phrases over the years, and I'm not going to say that those phrases were false, but what I'm saying is that if people are going to take the things I've taught and the things I've said and extrapolate them into other areas, if they're going to do that, then you have to do it the right way. Otherwise, people get confused. So on tonight's program, I just want to take a moment.
Join me, and I will complete your training.
It's time to update your files. You have heard it said by some YouTubers that you've listened to over the years that beauty costs. Before them, I was reminding men that power is going to cost you. Now, beauty for a woman can be power. It can be. But for you fellas here, just understand, you cannot have respect without power, and power is going to cost you. It's going to cost you something to become empowered. And cost, by definition, means you will have to sacrifice. It's not going to be something you're going to be glad to give. It's going to be something that's probably going to edge out something else that you'd rather be doing or rather be giving. Power, fellas, is going to cost you. Establishing your worth is going to cost you. It'll cost something. I posted this today earlier on my Facebook page. Hours and hours ago. I made a very simple observation because I saw some of the things that folks were posting. I made a very simple observation. Men love trophies. As men, we love trophies. That's what all this is about. The car, the Rolex, the suit, the shoes. These are trophies. These are tangible items of value that we have brought back with us. These are trophies. And I just made the observation, guess what, fellas? Women love trophies too. Nice gifts are a girl's form of a trophy. Fellas, I'm telling you, stop trying to fight these things and understand them. Stop trying to fight them and understand them. You love a trophy, well, so do the women. And now that you understand that she loves trophies, do you recognize the psychology that goes into that? I'm not saying about buying your way. Simps attempt to buy a woman's respect. What I say is that, no, have you made yourself a trophy? Stop trying to fight the nature and become it. Have you made yourself a trophy? There's nothing wrong, untoward, or ridiculous about that. Have you made yourself a trophy? If you have a woman in your presence who has not earned it, then that's because you are not a trophy. If you even have to say, not till she's earned it, how did she get in your presence if she hasn't earned it? You see, if you are exclusive, it's supposed to be hard to get into your presence. If somebody's in your presence and they have not earned it, that is because you are not a trophy. Fellas, I'm going to hit you right between the eyeballs with this. A bunch of you dudes need to get the hell off the internet, get your damn life together, and stop living delusions of grandeur and coming into comment sections and videos and getting together with other broke no-goodniks and trading your delusions of grandeur about yourself. Establish some value, establish some capability, and then you can start talking mess about the females. Fellas, them the rules. You need to earn the right to talk trash about the women. If you're a guy and the females ain't really studying whether you showed up or whether you disappeared, I mean, if you vanished, poof, like a puff of smoke right in front of them, and they didn't care whether you were there or not, you need to earn the right to talk trash about the females. You don't get to sit up here and talk about, well, you know, Jason, what you word, you did back in school. See, there it is. Let me talk. Back in school, you see, I was getting straight A's and I didn't slang no dope. I didn't slang no keys. I ain't walk with my pants sagging there. Jason, see, these females need to learn how to appreciate that. They don't need to learn how to appreciate a damn thing. They don't need to learn how to appreciate a damn thing. A man who knows his worth does not negotiate with women. That's why I said you're supposed to be the table. Could you imagine somebody sitting at Olive Garden looking at the table trying to negotiate whether the table should be a remote control, whether the table should be a wheelbarrow, whether the table should be an airplane? There is no negotiation. You submit to what the table wants, or you get your ass up and leave, or you probably never got let in the first place. Never got let in the first place. It's damn facts. Power is going to cost you. But in the internet age, dudes have been conditioned to think that they're supposed to sit around here and talk about what they wish they had or wish they could do. Talking about what they wish they had and wish they could do. That's why I'm the guy who almost a decade ago shut that thing down. With fellas talking about gold diggers. Talking about gold diggers. And you don't have any gold to dig. A fella making $30,000 a year talking about, ain't no woman gonna take all my money. This is how delusional the internet makes dudes. Rather than him taking his time on the internet To increase his value, he's sitting up here fantasizing about things he doesn't have and things he can never do. He's protecting himself from the gold diggers. And meanwhile, he has absolutely no gold to dig. But he claims he's protecting himself. Let him tell it. He's protecting himself. There is no place in this world for men who build things, do things, to hang out with damn me daydreamers. But the internet enables daydreaming. You know why? Because a fella who is a lazy ass little bastard will be sitting next to a fella making 7 figures. And when we talk, he thinks he talking with us. I say things that are controversial to some folk, but I don't back down about it. I said it a decade ago. Now everything I said is mainstream. I've said this before. I don't trust women. I lead women. I don't trust them any more than an employer trusts their employees. Why do you think they have security cameras over the cash registers at these big box stores? They got security cameras in the back rooms where the money is counted. The employer does not trust his employees. Take a look at your casinos for all my folks who work in Vegas. The casinos don't trust any of you. They employ you. They lead you. They instruct you. They don't trust you. They trust what they can see on the video. They trust what they can count in the desk. They trust what they can count at the tables. They don't trust you. They trust what they can see and touch and feel and count. But I got supposedly grown men, but overgrown mama's boys telling me about females, and I tell them what I say sounds like alchemy. No, fellas, you don't have to trust a woman. You're supposed to lead her. And you can call that trust if you want. And let's be very, very clear. Women prefer it that way. Women are the most accurate barometer in the world of a man's competence. His ability to get things done. With probably the sole exception of mathematics itself. Because a woman with a man who can't get something done, her survival is at stake. This is why fellas don't like that. A woman prefers to have a situation with a man who makes it very clear where his boundaries are. You got to understand, fellas, if you know your worth, you're not wishy-washy. Jason Black, use a straight-up stone cold ass. You damn right I am. And you know what? Most women don't like it. This is the other side of the equation. Hey, fellas, remember I said I don't trust women? I lead them? Well, guess what, fellas? I got something to teach your dopey ass tonight for the ones who don't like it. Guess what, dudes? Women don't trust men. Oh, this is a news flash for all the jerk-ass mama's boys. No, sir, the female population is not your slutty-ass mammy. Women do not trust us as men. I'm sorry, women don't like us. Women do not like us as men. They don't like us. I ain't just talking about the strippers and the prostitutes and the girls who've been touched on. Women don't like us as men. We're not really people that they, quote, like. Not the way you like your homeboys, not the way you like your kinfolk. Women don't really like us like that. Nor does she look to like us like that. You don't know where I'm going. Calm down when I'm teaching class. Women don't like us. A woman looks to respect you. She either respects you or she doesn't. A woman likes a guy who lets her run his pockets. A woman likes a guy who lets her run him over. A woman likes a guy who is a simp. She likes a simp, but she does not respect him. And no man in here wants to be a simp except for the dirty, low-down, most desperatest. Yes, I know, most desperate. But women don't respect him. None of us want to be simps because we're like, hey, I don't want you treating me the way you do that little simp-ass nigga that you like. I want to be treated better than that. I want respect. So fellas, them the rules. Women do not like us. And the ones who've been taught accurately by their fathers. What does a father teach his daughter? Oh, the busted, broke-ass, bummy-ass, bubble-lip, bug-eyed mama's boys sure do not like this. Boy, they hate this part. What does a competent father teach his daughter? Does a competent father teach his daughter to get the man she likes? Any of you who got daughters, do you teach your daughter to gravitate to the one she likes? Hell no! Because if your daughter has to choose from what she likes, she's going to go for Mr. Swagalicious. That's what your daughter is going to choose. Mr. Swaggy. Whoever the other, she's just going to look at the other females and whoever they want to be with, she going to compete for that. She will not look under the hood. She will not do the math. She will not check the pedigree. She will not check the paperwork. Whichever one sexually arouses her, that's what she gonna go for. And a father understands, no, you don't get to choose what you like. Because females are going to go for sexual candy if you tell them choose what you like. A father talking to his daughter understands you don't tell her go for what she likes. You tell her to go for competence. That's what she needs, is competence. And if some of those other attributes are piled on top of that, that's great. But as men, we understand the dude who focuses on his swagginess usually has not focused on competence. A fellow who focuses on competence, excellence, accomplishing things, being a leader, being courageous, those are character traits he has to have instilled in him by his parents. Those are the foundation. Everything else is on top of that foundation. So a competent man who studied excellence can become a little swaggy. The fellow who specializes in swagginess probably is never going to be competent. That's why we have to move the way we do. So fellas, I don't trust women. I lead them. You know why? Because women don't like us. They will only follow the man that they respect. Now, some women will lie to you or attempt to lie to you about what it is they respect about a man. Don't look at her words, look at her actions. Look at her actions. This video in front of you right here, this is absolutely the anathema and antithesis of everything that the man's supposed to be doing here. And I meant when I said, it is one thing if this is your taste in food as a man. It is one thing if it's your taste in food as a man. But here's the thing you need to understand. As men, if she walked me into that place, I'm not going to walk out with anything I don't want. But I would simply say no to 90% of what she's talking about. Just on GP. First of all, it never would have been a situation where I say, this is where we going. If I say, we going to Ralph's, guess what? We going to Ralph's. I'm not going there. I tell her, well, I don't know what the hell you eating tonight because we're going to Ralph's. I don't know what you eating tonight. I'm going to Ralph's. I don't know where you going. And understand where I'm saying this from. I'm not saying this from a standpoint of just being difficult for the sake of difficult. What I'm saying is that you should have a reason for going where you're going. A woman does not respect a man who she can lead. Fellas, full circle. I don't trust women. I lead them. A woman does not respect a man that she can lead. And the moment she says, I'm not going there, and you turn around simply because she says she's not going there, understand, she may stay with you and she's smiling when she gets to Erewhon, but she has lost respect for you. The food that I want. Hold on, heifer. You're supposed to be cooking what I want. How the hell did we end up in a store where I'm going to spend money and we're eating what you want? No, you're supposed to be here to learn what I want. Now, once we found what I want, if there is some improvement on it that can be made, that's great. That's wonderful. That's clever. That's fantastic. But the foundation is going to be what I want. Not what you want. You're supposed to be learning me. And fellas, there's a reason for you doing that. There's a reason for you doing that. The reason why you make sure she does that is because that's how you imprint yourself on her. A woman is looking to be imprinted on. This is why men have to be disagreeable from time. A man's job isn't to be agreeable to a woman. Your job is to lead. Her purpose is to become agreeable to you. If she's not becoming agreeable to you, if she's not bending for you, if she is not beginning to mold and shape into your image, you must be getting molded and shaped into hers, in which case she gonna leave because she's got the femininity market cornered. So what you can do is tell her this is what you want to eat. I'll focus on something real simple here. For those of you who like Italian, a man should know his cheeses. If you like Italian, you should know your cheeses. Okay, great, fine. You can tell her what you want. If you want, shrimp Alfredo or something, go ahead and do that. Okay, but guess what? The best Alfredo sauce you're going to have is homemade. Okay, you can go ahead and cut that off and outsource that to her and say, okay, what you can do here, I love Alfredo, but the best Alfredo sauce is homemade. And by homemade, I mean you go to the store. If you can get the aged Alfredo, though you probably have to order it. If you can get that, some folks like Pecorino, I don't know. But definitely the aged Alfredo is the best you can get. You get some Alfredo, you get some butter, you get some cream, and you're ready to call it a day. If you want to add garlic, salt, I guess you can if you want to. It's up to you. But my point there is you tell her, okay, if she wants to do something, she can make Alfredo sauce for you. If she wants to do something. Now she can go show out. Now if she wants to improve on something, you tell her this is what I want to eat. And now she can offer improvement on that. And improvement does not mean vegan. Improvement does not mean vegan. If I ain't vegan, guess what, heifer? My plate's not vegan. And guess what? A woman respects that. She respects the fact you did that. She is not resentful. She respects it. You know why? Because you gave her very clear, concrete rules. The beta simp that she claims to like, that nigga lets her run all over him. She lets him do whatever. A fella who knows his worth, you're not mean about it, you're not rude about it. You let her know, hey, thank you for your enthusiasm. Fall back. Here's what it's going to be. Now, you can offer some improvement on what I gave you, but you cannot change what I gave you. So maybe she found a good place to get, your Parmesan cheese. Hell, maybe she found a better cheese grater. That's great. That's wonderful. That's what she does. Her job is to demonstrate to you that she is your best option. How the hell do we end up at a store and I'm getting a bunch of stuff and I'm like, wait a minute, I don't recognize any of this. Oh, well, this is what I want. Well, it sounds like you need to eat alone. I'm not walking into your closet rearranging your damn shoes and your makeup. Now, if you want to take, now here's the thing. If you're going to take me to Erewhon, then Erewhon better have something that Ralph's doesn't. And I'm talking about something I want. If you're going to take me to Erewhon, they better have something that I want that Ralph's doesn't have. Hey, Jason, here's a better type of cheese. Here's a better type of garlic salt. Here's a better type of pepper. Here's a better type of pecorino. Here's a better type of whatever. Here's a better type of cheese. Here's a better type of cream. Okay, that makes sense. Now I can understand. I'm willing to accept that because you're enhancing and improving what I've given you. And guess what? She's going to be happy because now she knows, not she guesses, she knows she's giving you exactly what you want. She knows she's giving you exactly what you want. The fella who let her walk him into Erewhon and she's telling you this what it's going to be and she's yanking a bunch of stuff off the shelves like the shopping spree at Toys R Us. She's going to run up your damn credit cards, but there's a reason she's running up the credit cards. Because the manhood is missing. The manhood's missing. So she's like, okay, if you ain't going to be, I don't feel like I'm standing next to a man, but when I make you spend a bunch of money, that feels kind of masculine. So let me just go ahead and do that because the masculine is missing. The masculine is missing. Well, Jason, she said that these are the things that she likes to buy. You know what? I think that's a great idea. When you get back, you can just tell her, by the way, we're going to take a quick cursory evaluation of your bank account. Then we're going to take a quick cursory evaluation of what I can afford because I ain't going to show you the bank account. We'll just take a quick cursory evaluation of that and then we're going to leave it where it is. Then we're going to leave it where it is. Tell her, by the way, if you want to know how you got so damn far in debt, I think I figured it out. If you want to know why your finances are so damn strapped all the time, I think I figured it out. Yeah. Erewhon is great and everything there, but is there a real demonstrable difference, or are you sitting up here practicing material therapy? A woman is looking for a man who teaches her. The truth of the matter is that a woman doesn't trust a man who is not an ass. Fellas, I didn't say if she likes you. If you got a woman and she has not told you, you know what? You're a real ass sometimes. If she ain't said that and you know she really means it. If she hasn't told you that, brother, she doesn't respect you. I don't give a damn what she told you. She doesn't respect you. Women don't respect men who are not asses, at least sometimes. She wants to know there's a firm boundary. You know why? Because that's the distinction and the contrast between you and her. She knows full damn well if you're not, you're lying. A woman does not respect a man who is not an ass. Because what she's telling you is that you failed the crap test. She will simply stick around and say, man, let me run this nigga pockets to compensate me for the masculinity that he is missing. Let me do that. Fellas, the next reason for that is because a woman, I'm going to come back to this again, a woman wants you to imprint on her. If you're not making an impression and an imprint on the woman, you don't have any worth. Let me give you a very simple metric. Take a look at I don't care how long you've been with them. You take a look at your woman's likes. You take a look at your woman's hobbies. You take a look at your woman's habits. You take a look at that. You take a look at that. You take a look at that. You see what they're doing. Fellas are sitting up here trying to figure out what are the 15,000 ways I can get next to her drawers. Fellas, you're missing the whole damn point, and this is why society is lacking in qualified men. If you're not a man who gets up in the morning and is thinking about taking his part of the world, that's a problem. That's a problem. A lot of the fellas are not going to like what I'm about to say here right now, but it's the damn truth. There's a reason why your girlfriends, even your wives, your mother, or whatever, there's a reason why they respect a pookie to a certain extent, depending on what kind it is. He may not be as articulate as you, but if he's out there taking his piece of the world, women do not think about men the way that men think about women. A woman needs a man who's got some barbarian in him. The fellas ain't gonna like that at all. Dudes, it is what it is. Every female in here, I don't give a damn whether she is the biggest glasses wearing geek you ever met. I don't give a damn where you met her or saw her. I don't care what you think or what she told you there before. Every woman wants a man with some gangster in him. Every woman wants a man with some gangster in him. You don't have to like that. You don't have to think that's okay. You can sit up here and say to yourself, she should want a little soft cream puff built nigga like me. Okay. Keep telling yourself that, Lizzo. You fellas with your Lizzo philosophy, she should like my personality. You know why? Because women are very, very acutely aware of one reality. That every once in a while in this world, some gangster stuff gonna jump off. Or at least she's concerned that it could. And by gangster stuff, I'm not even talking about something in the streets. I'm not even talking about that. I'm not talking about something in the streets. Fellas, do you understand that when your woman goes to the car mechanic, she wants a gangster with her? Man, most of you didn't grow up with fathers in your lives anyway, and this is just sailing over your head like a spitball over a classroom of second graders. But every female in here knows this. You know why? Because whether they admit it or not, every single female in here is terrified to go to a car shop, to a repair shop at a dealership, to a body shop, scared to death. Because she doesn't think she's gonna get messed over. She knows she's gonna get messed over. That's why every single female here, she wants to bring a man, a brother, a uncle, a cousin, a boyfriend, a co-worker at the job, somebody that at least you look like you might know something about some cars. In the chat room, Eli from Jersey, that's actually terrible advice. You're not just wrong, that's terrible advice. Take his information. I might have him call up when I open up the phone lines. That's that kind of beta simp logic there. That's terrible advice. Awful advice. But you got to understand, individuals who are not ready to compete and aren't built to compete sit up here and tell you okay the way you are. No, you're not. Grow the hell up. No, you're not. Fellas, every woman, when she goes to an auto repair shop, a car dealership, the repair shop, the dealership, she wants a gangster on board. You know why? Because she's been messed over before and nobody told her what it was until after she left. She gets back home and is like, I'll be damned. Let me give you a little bit of a basic primer right here. Female goes to a car lot. Female goes to buy a new car. The man sits her down. She screws around and tells him how much she makes a year because she didn't go get approved by a bank before she showed up, or even if she did, the man can see what you make a year. Oh boy, let me see if we can work with that. He starts telling her about her monthly payments. Why, we can get the payments in a certain range. And of course, she wants the payments to remain low because she likes to go overspend. Because instead of going to someplace sensible like Ralph's, she wants to go to Whole Foods and Erewhon and Trader Joe's. So you see, she's trying to figure out how to afford her daily expenses so that monthly expense can't really be no beast. So she sits down in front of the finance manager. And the finance manager goes over the numbers and he tells her, well, you know what? The car you want they told you that it's out of your price range. Don't worry. We're going to get it into your price range. She thinks she's a little bit smart. I don't want to go for the usual tactics. So the man sits her down and says, well, don't worry, baby. We can get you zero down with 0% financing. Yo chick is sitting there about to break her damn arm, patting herself on the back. You don't know how smart I am. See, I'm a crude, savvy negotiator. Why, I got them to give me 0% down and $0 financing. I mean, $0 down and 0% financing. Now, anybody in here who knows about cars understands that there's only a bank or a lender could not stay in business if they gave you money and didn't charge you any interest. They couldn't stay in business. What the hell kind of business model is that? The only reason that they give you 0% interest is because they added on the cost of the interest to the price of the car. That's why when you get a car with 0% interest, they remove the incentives, rebates, cash back, discounts, all. They'll tell you can get those, or you can get this car. We can work out 0% financing, but then you notice the price of the car jumped by $2,000 or $3,000. Well, yeah, you don't get any discounts, rebates, or incentives because you have to finance through the automobile manufacturer. So you're like, I'll be damned. You raised the price. Yeah, we just added the cost of the interest onto the price of the car. And she's coming home swinging the key on the key fob. Look at me, I'm swagalicious. And the man takes a look at the damn financing thing. Like, whoa, where's your discounts and incentives? She's like, I didn't need any. They gave me 0% down and 0% financing. What? And then, because you remember I used to be a car dealer. When I sit here, and I buy cars all the time, I sit here and explain to her, excuse me, let me just give you a very brief explanation of why this is not a great idea. If they're arrogant and stubborn, they get mad, but usually they just get sad. Because now she's already paid for it. She's now on the hook for 5, 6, 7 years. That's it. You're done. You're done. So women get tired of that experience very, very quickly. By the way, there's a bunch of women in the chat room tonight who just learned something about the car that they're driving. Ladies, I hate to have to read your mail for a minute, but yeah, there's a bunch of you who just learned a couple of things about the car that you're driving tonight, didn't you? You ain't got to say nothing. But by the way, I'm sure you just learned something about your car tonight. If you think back over those financing papers, you might remember that you were given 0% down, $0 down and 0% financing. And now you're like, oh, that's what it was? Yeah, that's what it was. Now, fellas, in 5 or 6 years, when it's time for her to go back to that dealership, in 5 or 6 years, when she's sitting there on the floor going over Auto Trader or Car Gurus or whoever else, Edmunds, she's going around looking for a car. Don't you know at the front of her damn mind is the last experience that she had? Don't you know that's at the front of her mind? Don't you know she's ready for a rematch? Don't you know she's been waiting 5 years? But here's the problem. She was ready for that landmine, for that tripwire, but she doesn't know how many others there are. And she knows if they got me the first time, they'll probably get me the second time. So she thinks in simplistic female terms. She understands one thing. They did that to me because I'm a female. Now, the truth of the matter is they'll do it to anybody they think can get over on. That's the reality. But she's like, I feel like I was especially susceptible because I'm a female. And they just felt like you don't know. And I didn't know. So maybe if I go back and I show them I'm not alone, I brought a man with me, they will be less likely to try that. And truth be told, statistics actually bear out that that's true. By the way, statistics bear out that that's actually true. So make of that what you will. Make of that what you will. But in any case, women understand this. They usually find it out too late. When she goes back, you damn right. She wants a gangster on deck when she comes back. She wants a G on deck when she comes back. She ain't trying to get messed over twice. She already got messed over once. She ain't trying to do that one again. Fellas, when your woman goes to the dealership to buy a car, when she goes to the mechanic's shop to get a car fixed, she knows I need to have a gangster. At least a little bit, because she knows, hey, what if the salesman or the finance manager tries you? Okay, she took a dude with her, but what if she got a dude who ain't solid? He's not willing to rumble the waters. He's beta and recessive. She's hoping don't nothing go wrong because she's like, okay, you look like a male, but then again, you might not look like a competent one. You might not look like one. So fellas, you need to think like a woman. You ain't got to like Pookie and Ray Ray and Mike and Lil Slug. In the female's mind, well, at least the car dealership ain't gonna try to get over on him, hopefully. Hopefully they won't. And any male in here who's had to deal with a shifty ass car lot or a shifty ass car dealership, you done had to get gangster sometimes. Hey, bruh, when I called you on the phone, you said this was the out the door price. Don't try to tack on no accessories, no add-ons. No, I don't need no damn nitrous oxide. No, I don't need no damn nitrogen-filled tires. I don't need none of that. Get that off of there. I don't need I don't need no extras. I don't need no VIN etching on the windshield. If they steal the damn car, they done took the windshield too, nigga. I don't need none of that. Try that on them broads when they come up in here. Don't try that on me. No, I don't need no extras. No, I don't need no service agreement. I got a damn warranty. Don't even try it. No, I don't need no roadside assistance. I got credit cards. I ain't hearing none of this. None of this. Every fella in here who's bought a new car, they done tried you. Some of you, they got you. They done tried you. Tell them, hell no. That little under the car coating, believe it or not, they offer that in Louisiana. There's the crazy part. Folks, I'm from Louisiana. It snows once every 7 damn years here. Don't you know they offer us the anti-salt coating even here? I'm like, dude, the car will be paid. The car will be out of warranty before it ever snows again. It'll be out of warranty before it ever snows. They'll be glad to go ahead and charge you that $1,500 anyway. If you let them. I come from a part of the world where cars don't rust. Hell, we ain't really got the money to put salt on the roads like that. We don't really put salt, we put sand down, so welcome to the South. Please. And they try that down here. You damn right, dude. You damn right. You better be ready to be a little gangster with it, and then you gotta go check the thing. Make sure it's like, hey, no add-ons, no extras. What's the out the door price? When you show up, get ready. Usually they gonna try it. Oh, there was something a little bit extra here. You know what? We can know I don't need extra floor mats. I don't need none of that. I'll take some oil changes as long as they're less than $100. I'll take some oil changes. Other than that, you ain't got nothing to save. You ain't got nothing to sell me. You ain't got nothing to sell me. You done already sold me the car. Don't bring me the extras. But they get a female up in there and they start messing with her. They're going to start trying to make her feel insecure. Hey, you a strong, independent old wench, ain't you? I shows is. That's right, boo chica babe. Well, don't worry. We'll make sure you ain't got to ask no man for nothing. My name is Brad. Don't worry. We'll get you roadside assistance. Because your credit card might not cover this. And your insurance might not cover this. We'll get you extra roadside assistance. Oh, and don't you want some extra floor mats? Just in case your high heel shoes pierce the floor mats already? Oh, you know, you should get rust proofing under the car. You might want to take a road trip to Alaska. She'll be sitting there. Oh, I sure am glad that I met Brad at the dealership. He's so nice. Meanwhile, we sitting over here like, I'll be damned. I'll be damned. Brad done sat up here and run the damn price of the car up by another $2,000 damn. And she's sitting up here breaking her arm, patting herself on the back. You damn right, a female wants a fella with some gangster in him. Well, guess what? It starts at the grocery store. Because a woman knows that if you are too sissified to stand up to her when she's overspending, and she knows she is, when she realizes that you are too sissified to tell her no. You see, if she had a competent father in her life, what did her father do? Her father told her no. She remembers that the rest of her days. Dad is the one that keeps her within the frame, keeps her from coloring outside the lines, makes sure she doesn't outdo herself and get herself into trouble. And she's looking for a man with that kind of energy. The one who will look her in the face for something she really wants to get and really wants to do and will tell her, no, we ain't doing that. Yeah, we can afford it. Yeah, I can pay for it. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Because this isn't part of the plan. This isn't part of the agenda. So, fellas, knowing your worth means saying no. A woman doesn't know her worth until she sees you know yours. But too many fellas out here today don't even know what their worth is. So we get ultra silly, simplistic answers instead of some competent, practical ones. A woman does not trust a man who is next to her and is not attempting to exercise power. Oh, I said that. I said that. You know why, fellas? For the exact same reason that a man does not trust a lawyer who does not exercise power. In the words of Mark Cuban, when you go in and negotiate someplace, get you an agent, because, Robert Rodriguez, I think it was. Hollywood is filled with sharks. You need to have a shark working for you. Women understand that the world is filled with barbarians, brutes, gangsters, sharks. And she recognizes, I better have a shark on my team. I better have a shark with me. I better have a competent shark on my side. These are things women don't tell you, but it is true. What is she saying? She wants to have confidence that she has a man who is not afraid to exercise power, first and foremost, over her. But it cannot be limited to her. So it's also got to be everywhere else. But she doesn't trust you if you don't stand up to her. A woman wants to know she got a shark on her squad. A woman wants to know she got a shark on the team. She wants to know she got a fella who'll put in that damn work. And I'm going to tell you something else. Jason Black, keep bail money on him. Let me try that one more time. I travel from sea to shining sea in America. Sometimes outside of it, I keep bail money on me. And everybody around me knows that. Oh, I keep bail money on me. I keep bail money. Ain't gonna be hard anywhere in America. It's not gonna be hard for me to find a bondsman either if it come down to it. To the fellas in the chat room, if you know what I'm talking about tonight, give me the $ emoji. If you roll the same damn way. Some of the Gen X millennial dudes with their skinny jeans and their socks going up to their knees don't quite understand that. But to the real ones who understand that, you keep some bail money on you. Simple assault. Hey, y'all, just to let you know, simple assault charge is $1,500. Jason, what the hell did you just say? Simple assault, $1,500. Aggravated assault, usually going to be about 5 to 10. Assault with a deadly weapon, sky's the limit. Assault with a handgun crime, yikes. But I will tell you one thing. I'd rather be tried by 12 than carried by 6. I'd rather be tried by 12 than carried by 6. Let me take care of problem number 1. Problem number 1 is this nigga over here talking to me crazy. Problem number 2 is when the police and the judge show up. I got to deal with problem number 1 first. Once I deal with problem number 1, then I'll take care of problem number 2. I just gave y'all very simple budgetary math. It is what it is. It is what it is. Oh, trust me, if I got to put something on a nigga's ass, I've already done the calculus. I don't know if he has. I know I did. I don't know if he has. I know I did. I see I got some fellas in here who understand where I'm coming from. They understand where I'm coming from. Guess what? Your woman respects that too. You know why? Because as women, they've grown up under circumstances that we as men don't. Jason, what does that mean? I got to remind y'all one more time. A female knows that some of these dudes talking about they wish they could have sex with her. Some of them ain't talking about wishing they could. Some of them, if they had the opportunity, they would force the issue. Every woman in here knows she's met at least a few dudes in her life that if she was alone with them and no one could hear her, dude might just decide, you know what? Let's get this crime kicked off. As I remind you all of the example that I've given you for years, as men, when we walk through a dark parking lot at night to our car or whatever, we think that something could happen. We think we could get assaulted. We think we could get robbed. We even think we might get killed. We do think that can happen. But there's one thing that none of us usually think about. We think we could get assaulted or robbed. We don't think that we could get assaulted, raped, and then robbed. Or assaulted, robbed, raped, and killed. As men, that doesn't cross our minds. We figure we could get assaulted or killed, but we don't think that rape is on the menu. As a female, females are constantly concerned that rape is always on the menu. Rape is always a possibility, and a very real one. So you see, she sees the world differently than you do. You've never worried that you could end up assaulted and raped on your way to the car. She thinks about that all the time. She doesn't tell you, but she thinks about that all the time. That's something that could very, very realistically occur. Now that she knows those kinds of people are out there, she got to say, okay, well, what have I done to be ready for that? And most females are not going to do what's necessary to be ready. Let's be very, very clear. There's a few of them. My girl, Taisha Essex, she goes to the gun range, but most of these women don't. Most of them don't. Most of these women, they ain't got a pocket knife. If they did, it would just get taken from them. Most of you have not been to a gun range. And what I'm saying is that I'm going into the science of this because I want the men to know what our worth is. I've been to gun ranges, automatic weapons, semi-automatic weapons. We go all out. And you want to go on a great date, fellas? Damn the simple stuff. Damn a restaurant. Take our ass to a gun range. I promise you, 99% of these women never set foot in one. Never set foot. When she goes in there and fires a weapon for the first time, when she can feel the sound waves and the reverberation of the sound waves hitting her in the chest, that thing goes off so loud, you can physically feel the force of the bullets coming out of the gun. When you take her there and you standing next to her and you letting her know you ain't scared of a damn thing, that this is her first time. This is her first tour. This ain't yours. This ain't your first tour of duty. This is her first one. She's going to remember the man who took her there. Other niggas can run they damn mouths. You sitting out here on the street running your mouth. Even if a nigga was ex-military, did you take your woman? Because if she ain't served in the service, and usually they don't fire weapons over there, if she ain't served, it don't matter. So most of these women have never done that. As men, we have. Or at least you should have. As men, we have, or at least you should have. That's your worth as a man. That's your worth. Because here's the awful truth is that most females are assuming that in a life or death situation, you as a man are ready to do anything and everything, including lay a bastard down for the rest of his living. Every female here is assuming that every single male in this room has fired a gun so she doesn't have to. Now that's the unspoken assumption. She's assuming that if there's a life or death situation, you gonna make sure that her and you are gonna walk out alive. And the truth of the matter is, most of these fellas listening, you ain't ready for that. You haven't even trained for it. You're not at the beginning of it. When I go to the gun range, because I'm in Louisiana and we got white folk who are all the way real about it here. One of the things in which you train for, at least you should, is shooting with both hands. I don't mean with one hand, with your right hand on the handle of the gun and your left hand up on the bottom of it. I mean shooting like freehand, shooting sideways. You know why? Because we might have to have this damn running gun battle down Interstate 49. And I can't drive the damn car with my feet. So just in case I got to start busting under this interstate sign, man, look here. Just in case I might have to crack this window and then crack theirs. So just in case it come down to it, I need to make sure I can shoot accurately with one hand. Just in case I'm in one of those tough social situations. Just in case it happened. No, not just TV only. You missing in Louisiana, trust me. When I look for trouble, I look left, right, and up and down. Might be a bastard parachuting in trying to get me. Trust me, I practice shooting with one hand. Okay, what I'm saying is that if you've never done that, even as a man, you might not be ready to aim accurately if you try that for the first time behind the damn wheel. That might not work. Did you practice? Oh, you didn't? Well, I guess we're about to find out how this goes. I guess we're about to see how this happens. Okay, but your woman is expecting that you come pre-equipped with that level of competence. People, how many grocery stores has the mad gunman walked into in the last damn 5 years gunning folk down? Come on now. Kroger's in Texas. That grocery store up there in Buffalo, New York. The mad gunman is every damn where. Or at least he's not very far from where you at. So while she's talking about shopping at Erewhon, that bastard might walk up in there in a couple of minutes. Yeah, let me give you something else with your eggs. She is assuming that this has at least crossed your mind. And I ain't talking about playing Call of Damn Me Duty. Because guess what? The gunman has trained with his weapon. At least some. Have you? Have you? Fellas, when I talk about knowing your worth, just understand she's saying that she knows your worth. I need you to know yours. Understand what it is. Things that you had not thought about, or maybe you did not want to think about because it requires a level of competence that possibly you have not acquired. You need to acquire that. It's all great and wonderful if you got your little old penny in the ass job. That's all great and wonderful and everything. But most and foremost, a woman is looking for a man who is walking up, both hands unapologetic, rock-rigged, steel-jawed, and saying, I'm taking my part of the world. And that includes her. Moonlight strolls me ass. That's a given. She can take a look at your feet and see you can walk, nigga. She wants to know how much power you exude. She got the soft and feminine covered. She wants to know how much power you're exuding. But fellas, power will cost you. And I'm not just talking about money. Power costs you in understanding what it is that they value. When I talked about women like trophies, a lot of these guys figured that the trophy just meant expensive gifts. Fellas, you supposed to be the trophy too. Because a gift is no more valuable than the man who gave it. A gift is no more valuable than the man who gave it. Women want to collect trophies, including their experiences. You're supposed to be a part of that too. But this idea that the women know their damn worth intrinsically, because for the females, as far as she's concerned, as long as I am killing the damn game wearing this dress, I'm pretty much fulfilling my obligations. She's saying I'm fulfilling my feminine obligation. Okay, fella, are you fulfilling your masculine one? Or are you getting mad because there is a masculine obligation? Are you getting mad about that? That's the crazy part here. That's the insane part. As men, we cannot get respected if we are not dealing with things in a powerful way. That's knowing your worth. Not being afraid to say no, that's knowing your worth. Not being afraid for her to get kicked off the team if she does not fall in line with the agenda. That's knowing your worth, having competence, so that those things that she expects, they're actually there. That's knowing your worth. It takes a whole lot to be a fully built man. It takes a lot to do that. A lot of the fellas out here saying, well, take a look at my wallet. Take a look at their swagaliciousness. Those are extras. Knowing your worth is your ability to exude power and, more importantly, your desire to do so. That's knowing your worth. However, you might disagree. Therefore, the telephone lines are now open. And the number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933. Your personal access code to the program that all your favorite YouTubers love to hate watch. You are, of course, welcome to join us. I want to thank everyone for liking tonight's program. It's very much appreciated because it lets people know very, very early on. When you got 2,600 people watching, but over 2,000 likes, that lets people know that the people here overwhelmingly like what they hear and see. When folks see that on their timelines, that's a way of circumventing that algorithm trying to bury us. So thank you. It is much appreciated, as always. And thank you to everyone who has contributed to support tonight's program on PayPal, CashApp, Super Chat, or Venmo. Jerome M., thank you very much for your support. Oracle Queen, Cadario, and everyone else, thank you very much here as well. If you have been instructed by my moderators to call in, that's not just a nice, nifty little thing. That's a requirement. So if you've been instructed by my mods that you need to call up, you had a lot to say in the chat room earlier, now it's your time to go ahead and speak. Now it's your time to go ahead. Now you can go ahead and call me up directly. I've spoken here for the last hour and 20 minutes. Now it'll be your turn. So definitely, if you were told to call in, you've got a few minutes to do so. So to my moderators, everyone that you told to call in, you can go ahead and let them know it's time. It is time. Eli from Jersey, The Rock, and some of these other folks, it's time. You've had plenty to say in the chat room there before. This is your opportunity to go ahead and speak on that now, and you can talk directly to the host and avail everyone to your perspective on this. Also, I am putting up the link to the Zoom. That's pinned to the top of the chat room. Remember that Zoom does get priority. The only thing we require, though, is that once you're on Zoom, you do need to make sure that both your audio and video are both turned on. So Zoom gets priority. So that anyone who wishes to speak here, you can get bumped to the front of the line on Zoom. Go ahead and see if I can get a few phone calls here. Let me get caller from area code 403. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from? Okay, let me check and make sure that's actually even on. Okay, caller from 403 is kind of there, although I have a sneaking suspicion that they might be taking the night off here. By the way, for those of you who joined us late, what I want to do real quickly, I want to replay the video here that I was playing at the beginning of the program here. It was talking about knowing your worth. Actually, it wasn't talking about knowing your worth, but certainly was her letting you know that the fellas she's with this is a good little skit they put together. Lets you know that they got their eyes and their ears open for what we as the men are supposed to be doing. So this is what it sounded like.
She's shopping together. All right. Whoop.
I am not going there.
Come on, babe, we're going here.
Babe, these prices are all expensive.
If we're living together, you're gonna eat the food that I want.
These eggs are $7.
No, they're 14. It's $12.
It's like $2 at Ralph's.
I know my worth.
But we should have a pizza night tonight.
Yes, I make this pizza. It's egg white crust, uncured turkey, veggies all over, vegan cheese. It's so good.
What about just Domino's?
Honey, even though I'm taller than you in heels, can you grab this?
$61.
I know my worth.
I would love to try the zero sugar rosé. We're gonna buy it before I try it, so why don't you just put it in the cart? Well, if you don't want to do my pizza, we can always do bean pasta.
No, I'm okay.
My $60 egg white pizza's sounding real good, huh? I know my worth.
Come on, babe, I want to bring you here. You're getting a little fat from all the air ones, maybe.
What is this,
It's
Jim?
only $250 a month. It's no big deal.
First time grocery shopping.
Yeah, fellas, we've been there. We've been there. But what it does underscore is that the women know their worth. At least they have a price for it. So the women know their worth. It would be good for the fellas to go ahead and know theirs. It's a useful, nifty life skill. All right, I think I got Cadario here on Zoom. Hopefully he can hear us and we can hear him.
Jason, what's going on, man? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. What is on your mind?
Hey, man, shout out to you, man. With I'm glad that the chat room was able to keep the likes up because we missed you when you had the last program, man. So hopefully everybody taking you serious.
Well, I'm going to, since everyone has been so gracious tonight, we appreciate that. I'm going to have an addendum here tonight to follow up on what I was going to say Friday. So I'll be giving you all a little bit of that here shortly.
Straight. Man, when you made this program, I put it in the super chat like early this afternoon because this weekend, man, and it was a call that we had months ago. And I'm trying to think of what exactly the dialogue was, but long story short, I broke off this engagement that I was to the girl I was with, and the program was perfect timing because everything that you're talking about from the protection standpoint, I see the value in that, and that's why I think the chat. I mean, we got to contribute, man. I think it's pennies on a dollar from a value perspective, man. Like all the content that you're dropping for free. Even the patron is insane as far as the value we're getting, man. So, but just listen to the programs, and I tried to call in one night before Prince had jumped on, and I wasn't able to connect. But I was trying to figure out whether or not I should do break off this engagement. But just from listening to the programs, man, trusting my gut, and almost just thinking in terms of power dynamics, man. Going into it from a position of strength, and even leaving it in a position of strength. I mean, if it weren't for listening, tuning in to the programs the last 3 or 4 years, and then even when you did the race force showings, I was pissed that I couldn't, do the, contribute to the development for the Meet the Director, man. But
this definitely these are things that men today are told are wrong. The idea of banning Andrew Tate, whether you agree with everything he says or not. The thrust of a lot of what he says is accurate. And there's a big movement to get men today to second guess ourselves. There's this huge, concentrated, organized movement to get us to second guess ourselves, doubt ourselves, question ourselves, that everything that we say is up for debate. Everything that we say is up for argument, even if we're on the right track. That nothing that we say is actually a rule. And more than anything else, we're being taught that we need to jockey for everyone else's approval even after we've demonstrated our competence. And I'm just saying, you know what? That's not the way power works. As a matter of fact, it sounds like somebody's exercising power over us. So it's a new life skill. A lot of you are learning how to be bilingual. You learn how to speak what your parents taught you, and then you learn how to speak power dynamics. Because at the end of the day, a man can't feel like a man if he's not exercising power. You just can't. Somebody needs to just say it directly like it is. Stop beating around the bush. Stop watering it down. Stop trying to pussyfoot it. It is what it is. A man does not feel like a man if he's not exercising power. But guess what? A woman does not feel like a woman if you're not exercising power either. Let me tell y'all something. For the fellas out there, the females love Game of Thrones. But you know who their favorite character from Game of Thrones is? It isn't Tywin Lannister. It's not Jaime Lannister. It's called Drogo. Jason Momoa was there for what? One little old season? But it wasn't because of Jason. I mean, he had to be called Drogo, so it was great. But the point is that the women liked Khal Drogo. They still call Drogo. They still do. They liked him because He was unapologetic. He walked up, he gangstered his way in. He was very cut and dry, very black and white. And to men, we don't like that because we're like, yeah, we're going to have to kill this nigga. But for the females, the women actually see Khal Drogo as a very safe thing. Because after they saw that he was very protective of Daenerys, he'll chop everybody else up, but not her. So guess what? That feeds into the female fantasy. I want to be Daenerys. I want to be her. As men, we don't see it that way. You know why? Because your woman is not looking to take Khal Drogo's throne.
Right.
That's the difference. As men, we see Drogo as a threat. Well, yes, because the problem is implicit is he's either coming for ours or we're going to have to come for his. So we will never see him the way women do. For the woman, she's like, hey, I ain't trying to take his throne. And it's like, yeah, what about the sex stuff? She's like, oh, I'm all for it. Well, those are the two areas where we differ. What she wants from him is not what we want from him. And what he's offering her, we don't want any part of it. None of it. So what I'm saying is the women don't tell you that. They don't tell you that. And as men, I don't like that. You need to understand that that's what it is.
Right.
Now, that does not mean you need to get on a horse and don't bathe and, carry around a scimitar. It doesn't mean that. But what I am saying is that whether you like it or not, that is an element of their psyche. She's looking for a man who is exercising power. She's going to tell you she doesn't like that. But it's not true. Take a look at the choices and decisions made. It's not true. It just isn't. And getting us to fool ourselves into believing, oh, that's not really what they want. Biggest lie in the world is to tell yourselves that men don't want what they want. There's a bunch of women out there telling them the men don't really want what they want. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Well, guess what, fellas? The women want something. They want something. And if you are her best option to get all of that in balance, she will take that. If you are not her best option, or if she's silly, gotta watch out for that, then guess what? They end up somewhere else. But fellas, stop being apologetic about it. And but not being apologetic doesn't mean you have a list of demands. I'm saying it starts with you. You've got to have a list of attributes, a list of assets, a list of characteristics, a list of competencies. You have to have that. If you got that, now you start making demands. Like I said, you got to earn the right to do that. Now I'm going to take it a step further. Things are different than they've ever been. Fellas, you are actually demanding more than your grandfather did. Truth be told. Now, the basic physical attributes, and I'm talking about the work that needs to be done, in many ways is similar, but can we just say it like it is? Brother, a dime today was not a dime 100 years ago. I'm not going to say it's light years ahead. I mean, what we consider to be a dime today, not what grandpa had. Your grandmama might have been a little sweet country girl. Okay, that's great for him.
Right.
Can we just keep it real? The average man today ain't checking for that. He's not. He isn't. Not if he has the option. He isn't.
Facts.
Real is real. Not if he has the option. He isn't. So can we just tell the truth? As men today, we really want a chick who's in the top 10% of looks. And the top 10% of attitude. And the top 10% of femininity. And the top 10% of technical aptitude. We looking for the top 10%. Well, guess what? Your grandmama wasn't that. She wasn't. I'm sure she was nice and she baked a hell of a chocolate chip cookie. But we want all that and then some.
Absolutely.
And guess what? There's nothing wrong with that. But have your demands kept, your ability to make that demand kept up with the cost of inflation. You don't want it to be somebody's ragged out ass, used up, wrinkled up baby mama. Okay, you don't want that. Okay, but let's be very, very clear. The grandfathers out there, they take a single mom in a minute. Although the single moms of their day were a bit different than these wicked witches of the East we got today.
Yeah, my uncle's was on one up in Detroit.
Well, like I say, but his requirements were different because here's the thing. What type of life did he have to provide for a chick bringing her 3 kids in tow from Sammy, Boo Boo, and Rodney? What type of life was he providing? So once again, what I'm saying is, as men, knowing your worth also means that your demands have kept up with the price of inflation.
Mm-hmm.
You are your grandmama was a great grandmama, but that's not the chick you. I'm not going to say in totality, but you're looking for more. You're looking for more. And the worst thing you can do is come to the table and not understand or accept what you're actually looking for, because then you'll have demands that simply will not keep up with what you can actually get.
Correct. Yeah, and I think that that's ultimately what, especially when you get engaged, you propose, you go through the whole process. Obviously, at least if you're not a janky ass dude, you understand what the expectations are for you as a man in that position moving forward and the responsibilities. And it got to the point to where it's like, damn, like she really doesn't expect to do more after I had made this decision. And essentially it almost kind of seemed like, or got to the point to where I almost kind of have to list out what I'm expecting.
Well, I mean,
instead of taking the initiative or being or not even proactive, but just being active.
Well, these are things.
She's saying I'm active.
No, these are things that y'all have to take care of before you get started. See, women don't like that, but they don't like it for the same reason that men don't like it. Fellas sit up here and get a chick first, and then find out she's qualified second. She needs to have demonstrated those qualifications before you ever. Dudes are taking chicks out to dinner to find out if they can have sex. No, they're making them girlfriends and then finding out that she's qualified for what you're looking for.
Right.
And what I'm saying is y'all need to do your due diligence before it ever gets that far. It should never get this far. How the hell do we get 20 miles down the damn road and she's missing key attributes? Why didn't we kick the tires and check that before she ever was allowed to get in? Because this might not be the position she's qualified for. Well, look at that ass, Jason. Okay, but okay, but if that's the only thing we want, then why we got complaints? Fellas got to do their due diligence before we get down the road. This is why dudes kill me. They want to sleep with a chick first and talk to her second. That's the way dudes are moving out here. They want to sleep with a chick first and talk to her second. Man, you got to talk to me for a while before I actually want to meet you like that. You got to talk to me for a minute because my time is valuable. And if I cannot get fulfillment with a conversation with you, then it's very, very clear that we're on the same page and we have common interests and you've got common ability. If that's not very clear to me, how the hell did we get to Ruth's Chris? How the hell did we get here? What did I bring you here for expecting? You should have already qualified for that before we ever got there. But this is what I mean by you got to have your ducks lined up on that and have an agenda and be very clear about what you want. So that way she knows before you even get started. Women don't like it when men bait and switch. Mm-hmm. And the truth of the matter is that most of y'all bait and switch. I said this to the females over the years, but it applies to the men. If that, listen to what a woman thinks. Hold on a minute. You've been taking me to dinner and laying on top of me for the last 6, 7, 8 months. But I'm not right. I'm not okay. There's something deficient about me that's a deal breaker. But you've been laying on top of me and talking about future for the last 6, 7, 8 months. So understand, in her mind, that's a bait and switch. How is it that I was good enough for all this access? And remember, I've taught you fellas, a woman feels that you owe her something merely because she opened the legs. If she throw them legs up, she like, oh, you owe me just for this. Just for this. You got to be realistic. So fellas, don't bait and switch. Know from the beginning what you want. Make sure you're clear about her what it is. Make sure you know what it is. And one more thing, the fellas got to accept. A lot of you dudes out here, and I'm just going to say it to you straight because it's the damn truth. You're going to have to just accept it. You don't really qualify for the type of chick you want. I'm talking about the average chick today. Jason, did you just say that? Fellas, if your woman makes more money than you, you might want to settle for a strong 6. Fellas, if your woman makes more money than you do, you probably are shooting too high and need to settle for something else. Don't come back here complaining because she flexed on you, Pookie Jr. If you are not able to be her financial leader, then the only way you can deal with that is that you excel in some other way that is status. Well, guess what? Your money ain't right and you ain't got no status. Dude, this is doomed to failure. She's going to cheat on you. it's going to be what it is. Why? Because ultimately you two are a mismatch. You a pit stop till the real niggas show up. You can't get mad about that. You know you didn't qualify to be here. You know you didn't. You know you were not qualified to be here. A lot of fellas don't want to hear that. Dude, there's some chicks who are out of your damn league.
Mm-hmm.
Out your damn league. You can't sit up here and be upset about that. There's a bunch of fellas out here who are going to have to accept that reality. Dude, I don't give a damn. There are plenty of females on your level. You just don't like the options that are on your level. Why not? Because the options look as raggedy as your plan. You can't say I want a woman in the top 10% and you are not in the top 10% of anything. That's the bait and switch.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, a female, you might have talked her into it, but she's eventually going to get smart and realize, we're a mismatch. And once she realizes you two are a mismatch, she's going to turn evil. Now she's going to be like, oh, and you've been suckering me into getting sex you were never supposed to get. So, now I got to tax you. Yeah, we ain't going to Rouse. We're going to Erewhon. We're going there.
Damn, I don't even know what that is.
It's another overpriced ass boutique store.
Oh, okay.
Boutique grocery store. But the reason for that is because she's like, I got to tax you now. Now I'm going to tax you. And you're like, hey, they doing dirty. She's like, well, you've been doing dirty longer than me.
Mm-hmm.
Now you owe me. So to the fellas out here, nobody just told you straight like it is. There are a bunch of you dudes who need to understand that, your red pill sexual frustration issues are never going to end because you need to be with a strong 4. Some of you fellas, you making $70,000, $80,000 a year, and you really qualify for a strong 4. You really do. You qualify for a strong 4 because there isn't anything you actually excel at. $50,000 a year is below median income now. Median income now is up to $55,000, $56,000.
Yeah.
That's median. As most folk know, that's just working class in all of your major American cities. That's working class for a single man with no kids.
Mm-hmm.
Just for you to be by yourself. You ain't upgrading the damn thing. You're not raising a family at any standard on $50,000 a year. You're not raising a family at any standard. You're not. Okay, well, guess what? The fellow who can't raise a family at any standard, he doesn't excel at anything, he has no status to trade on, you get a 4. The average man qualifies for the average chick. That's what you qualify for. You qualify for the average woman. You got an average job with an average house in an average neighborhood with average neighbors. You get average. That's what you get. You get the chunky chick. You get the single mom on her last leg. You get the old broad who's aged out. That's what you get. Know your worth, fellas. If nobody told you, these are the rules. You can sit up here and hate it if you want to. When you walk out in the world, that's what you're going to get. Take a look at your results, not your feelings. Take a look at your results. You know that Cadario, $100,000 a year is in all our major, in New York City, that's working class.
It's struggle. I'm in Nashville, so
Davidson County.
Yeah, it's around Vanderbilt. They got the even the like where TSU's at, like
the Gulch.
Like the Gulch is insane. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was there. I was there when they were building it. Remember, I was there when they were building it.
Oh yeah,
I mean, when they were expanding it. So I'm like, yeah, just understand that's not. Nobody thinks about Nashville as a major American city, but I'm talking about is where capital is coming into. You are going to become a de facto major city because you're going to have to deal with the economic conditions. A place that's a clean slate can actually find itself more expensive than a place that's been around for decades and decades.
Yep. And then you got Belle Meade, which has got the top 1% of the Nashville area. I'm looking into country club memberships, and they've got a wait list in Belle Meade for their country club. And I think the initiation fee starts depending on how old you are, it starts at 50 grand for the initiation fee. And they got a wait list.
That tells you a lot, though.
Yeah.
That tells you a lot. And it's like, hey, this is being competitive today.
Yeah.
Today. That's not our grandfather's world. This is the one we're in. So fellas got to understand things are going to cost you. And if you're going to be competitive, that's the price and the cost for today. I'll let you have the last word.
Yeah, man. Shout out to you. Shout out to moderators and I'm grateful for the opportunity to talk to you, man, because this is where it's at. This is the place that we come to get built up. And like I said, for the last 3 or 4 years, man, I don't really have no parents to go to. So this is where I get it's my haven for me. And so I have to pay homage from a pocketbook standpoint, from a contribution standpoint. And so, and I'll take it as a challenge too, when you said that you go for things because they're difficult. And even though we talked about income, yearly income to be competitive, to be in the top 5, top 2%. But the next hardest thing for me is to get into the cardiac pacemaker side. So I'm trying to get into that where I'm able to sell, the pacemakers that are actually implanted and in the patient. So I know that on average, they make between like 450, 500, 550 on average. And so that's just because it is difficult and it's it's a very competitive space. So that's what I'm working on right now. But
being competitive and staying competitive is very important. So thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. We appreciate that. Some of the folks here in the chat room, you've been instructed to call in, so my mods are going to be looking for that. Let me get caller from area code 346. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, Jason. This is Nick from Chicago by way of Houston.
Nick from Chicago, what's on your mind?
Yeah, I kind of got inspired to call in from that know your worth thing because I kind of got into a conversation yesterday with somebody that, I don't know, this chick kind of really disrespected me back in January. So I haven't really spoken to her since then. And she called me up out of the blue. And this is like a pet peeve of mine. Like when something goes down and some chick, oh, hey, how you doing? As if nothing went down. I mean, I got straight to the point. I was like, what are you calling for? Like some dude didn't work out or you looking for money? Like I don't like to pretend as if nothing happened. So that's one of my things. Other people told me I'm being too hard up front, but I said, look, I talk to too many damn people, and look, it gets old after a time. You see it over and over. So long story short, she said she was sorry. And I said, all right, prove it. Pay me. And she's like, huh? I said, yeah, if you're sorry, prove it by an action. I said, you got to pay me. And so she asked me what the price was. I said, if I name the price, you're not going to be able to afford it. So let's see if you name something fair. She named it. And I guess she was trying to call my bluff because immediately after I said, all right, here's the account information. Send that right here. She started trying to walk it back and negotiate, think I was going to go back. That did not work. And I said, as soon as we hang up, that price that we were speaking about, the one I had in my head, it's just going to be higher. And I told her, I said, look, as soon as this phone call, you sure you want to let this drop? She's saying no. She's claiming she said no. But I said, look, that's the only language I understand right now. You wasted my time and my time cost. I got people that consult with me and they pay me money. So if you wasted my time, you got to pay it. So that kind of inspired me to call in because of that. I don't know if that was the right path I took, but that was the one that I had learned before. And I actually learned that from you when you got somebody that you banned and they got to pay a fee to come back on your program. It's like, well, yeah, certainly, if it's that valuable to that person,
people do things and there's no penalty, then all that does is go into moral hazard. And they start getting the idea that it's all right to keep doing that. So that's the way that human nature learns, is by learning mistakes. And you have to make it very clear that this was a mistake to do this. Otherwise, it's just going to repeat itself. The other thing is, I can't issue a judgment on it because I don't know the exact events as they occurred. What I do know is you felt that was the appropriate way of dealing with it, and that would make you feel that the issue was rectified, or at least the issue had been addressed. So I'm not going to second guess you on it. Certainly that's the way you felt about it. So certainly if you feel like she wasted your time, it's like,
right.
Okay, I'm not going to take anything less than that. Because like I say, what's this thing we saw a couple of years ago with chicks talking about they want to charge men for dates? You know, if we didn't show up on a date or something like that, or they want to charge us for it. So a lot of that going on in that regard. But more importantly than anything is, I mean, having standards. I would rather see you have that for a standard than to have nothing. I'd rather see you have that than to have nothing at all. Because then you get accustomed to people knocking you around. And as men in particular, I've seen a generation of males who've gotten accustomed to people abusing them and knocking them around and talking to them crazy and everything else. What I'm saying is, as a man, if you do not stand up for yourself, I'd be a damn fool to think you're going to stand up for your family and your children. So you got to cut your teeth somewhere. So I'd rather see you standing up for something than falling for everything.
Yeah. And I had to do that because I'm really bad at blocking people. I'm really bad at cutting them off. So I figured out a method. I'm like, look, I'm going to set something where it's going to hurt a person and they can take the door. Because if they're going to go through it, okay, great. I've done that with clients that have been particularly annoying, where I charged them higher than what I would charge somebody else. And if they were serious about it and I really didn't want to work with them, but if they paid the price, I'll work with them. So I kind of got inspired from that, but mainly because you've charged people when you banned them, and if they want to have a rehabilitation fee, they got to go through those hoops. So that's what I've come to the conclusion of, especially when it's something egregious. If it was something petty or something smaller, then I wouldn't have done that. But I'm not going to say it here publicly, maybe on Patreon, but not here.
Well, definitely, like I said, I'd rather see you do something than to sit there and take nothing. And maybe she'll get the point going forward. Who knows? Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get call from area code 772. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from? Okay, caller from area code 772 fell off as soon as I opened his phone line. He's been abducted. If anybody sees somebody in the 772 area code hanging out the back of a Subaru screaming for help, that might be them. Caller from area code 410, you're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from? Okay, caller from area code 410, last try, you're on live. Okay, caller from area code 410 is in a trance. We're going to leave them as they were. Now, I want to go ahead and touch back on something else here. Because we've been talking about knowing your worth. And what I would like to do is I would like to take a moment here for us to review this. Now, as you'll all remember, I was talking to you here last week, and I was talking to you about there are rumors that Beyonce's mother, Tina Knowles, apparently her and her husband may be in a situation where they are not together. Folks are asking all kinds of questions like that, and this goes into the topic tonight of knowing your worth. Since our likes are where they're supposed to be, I want to go ahead and revisit this as well as the part that I didn't get to last time. Everybody talks about Tina Knowles, and they talk about Tina Knowles in a whole bunch of other ways and things, but I asked a question that none of you heard asked before, which was, what was Tina Knowles' name before she married Matthew Knowles? Because you see, she's been divorced from Matthew Knowles for years now, and yet she still refers to herself as Tina Knowles. Now, if Matthew was such a bad cheater and such a bad person and all this other stuff here, then why is his name so valuable to her? Know your worth, fellas. Know your worth. If Matthew Knowles is such a bad dude and this, that, and the other, then why is she carrying that man's name to this very day? She got she dropped her maiden name, picked up his, and hasn't let it go since. Now, this makes sense for his daughter, Beyonce Knowles. It does not make sense for his ex-wife. It makes no sense whatsoever. And I made this point last week because that name, Knowles, opens doors. Know your worth, fellas. Know your worth. That name, Knowles, opened doors. Kamora Lee Simmons, still calling herself Kamora Lee Simmons. Why? Because the name Simmons in relation to Russell opens doors. That name opens doors. Even with her being divorced from him for, 2 decades now? That name Simmons opens doors. Another person who's learned this exactly the way I told you all, exactly the way I called it, exactly the way I said it, straight down the line, straight arrow, no chaser. We can go down the list of names, but this one in particular, because you all have seen me call this in real time. And what in the hell do you know? Let me go ahead and take you to the tail of the tape. A woman here who's been supposedly dating other people and everything's going great and everything's going fine and everything's going wonderful. Kanye done picked up a new chick. Okay, baby, you want to get divorced. You want to make this messy. You want to make this public. Kim wanted to make this big, messy, public, humiliating. Remember all that? Kim did everything she could to make it difficult. How now, brown cow?
In the teaser for next week's episode of The Kardashians, the Skims founder got emotional and broke down in front of her sister, Khloe Kardashian, over the rapper.
You okay?
Not okay.
It's so different than the person that I married. I just can't. That's who I loved, and that's who I remember. I'll do anything to get that person back.
Well, now some folks may try to say, oh, well, Jason, that's just for TV or this, that, and the other. I'm like, well, first of all, if it's for TV, you're putting this on your television show. So very clearly, Kanye has plenty of value. Because you notice she didn't say, I'd do anything to get Pete Davidson back. She didn't say, I'd do anything to get Ray J back. Didn't say I'd do anything to get Chris Humphries or Reggie Bush back. I told you all, a woman never forgets the top of the food chain. She never forgets the apex. She never forgets the man who gave her her value. Never forgets that. If she could have found a replacement for the status of Kanye, that would have happened. Now, let me tell you something else. The worst thing in the world a woman can try to do is give her man status. Ladies, the fellas don't understand this. They don't get it. Fellas, a woman can't brag you into having status. You either bring that, you come standard equipped with status, or you ain't got it. A woman can't brag her way to getting status on you. She can't brag to her friends about all this other stuff. You got to be the bag. You got to bring it. You've got to have things that are self-evident. See, she could stand there next to Pete Davidson and look all sheepish all she wanted to, but the bottom line is standing next to Pete Davidson isn't gonna raise Pete's status. It ain't gonna happen. Any more than Mackenzie Scott, formerly Mackenzie Bezos, standing next to that substitute teacher raised his status. You can't imprint your value on the man. Either the man imprints on you or this is an abortion. Kanye didn't have to tell you what he's done. You can see what he's done. All she got to do is sit next to him and be pretty. You can't talk up a man's value. So you see, Kim can go get with other men, but she can't talk up their value. Halle Berry been trying that for 20 damn years. How's that working out? Fellas, know your worth. Know your worth. Know your worth. And the key word is know. not worth. Know it. Don't guess it. Worth isn't something that folks can give to you. Worth is something that folks can see on the bricks. Worth is something that people can see from the man. Worth is something that the female doesn't have to say a word. If she got to say it, you can't get it, Pete. You can't get it, Pete. And anybody else you want to talk to, it ain't gonna happen. Because she has to put the game in you. So she's letting you all know, damn, I miss being famous. Nobody has a reason to talk about Kim now. That's why she got to bring up Kanye. Say whatever the hell you want. Kanye always got something popping. He always got something going on. If you want attention, there's always something that he's doing that gravitates that, because there's always something that he's doing. What was Pete doing? Nothing. And at the end of the day, Kim is just sitting there. She's like, yeah, I got access to all the beta male I can stand. I need an alpha in my life. And the only way I can forget about Kanye is if I can replace him with somebody more magnetic, somebody more alpha, somebody more domineering. If I can replace him with that, I can do it. I can move on. Other than that, all she can do is sit up here and depreciate the value of them draws worse than they already are. Now she's just admitting to the world. By the way, you don't hear the media going on about that abusive crap and stalker crap about Kanye now, do you? You don't hear that anymore from them now, do you? And you won't. Not directly anymore. I don't even know why folks, this is why I host my program. I don't even know why people are in the chat room talking about Tom Brady. I don't even know why. This is why I have to host the program, because if you let everybody else hone in, they sit up here and say stuff like that. So, folks, I'll let y'all talk to him. I got to host the program. Call from area code 772. Second try for you. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from? Okay, caller from area code 772 is rubbing themselves down. Caller from area code 713, you're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yeah, this is Tony from Houston.
All right, Tony from Houston, what's on your mind?
Yeah, Jason, excellent broadcast tonight. Once again, I'm a senior. I don't understand why these men today who are not married to these women, why do they let them make a fool out of them? The man today, the man who's disciplined, who has focus, who is stable, these are the men that can command the price of everything. If the woman doesn't like it, she can simply be dismissed. What's she going to do? Be angry at you? Black women are mad about everything.
But Tony,
they really don't like.
But Tony, yeah. Here's the problem. And I mentioned this last week with the fellow we were talking about, Kiki. What you're saying theoretically makes sense. There are two problems. Yeah. Number one, the fellas who are unhappy, you say if she doesn't like it, she can go. These fellas can't afford to dismiss anybody because they don't have anything of value to keep. So the woman's situation hasn't changed. He doesn't have the money. He doesn't have the status. He doesn't have any area of excellence or expertise. So everything is all equal. She didn't lose anything. The other problem is, of course, the all freestanding problem, hypergamy, because she's always looking to trade up if she can. Well, we got to be able to go up first. Marvin, we'll get to you there in just a minute on Zoom. We'll be right with you. But you got to be able to go up first. So the problem is these fellas don't have any leverage, man. They don't have anything to bargain with.
Right. I understand those guys, especially with this Kiki Homer situation, that loser. I'm talking about the men who are in the status. I'm talking about the real men. Those are the men I'm talking about.
Real men.
And the rest of them. They'll do anything for a piece of tail. They don't care how much they humiliate themselves. But I'm talking about the real men. The real men are the ones that command.
Tony, I would challenge you again, though. I don't want to interrupt. I would challenge you again. When you say real men, who we talking about?
Right.
And how many?
We're talking about men. Right. Yeah, I guess you're right about that. I mean, I consider myself that kind of man. Of course,
you're talking about that. You're talking about that top
10%.
That's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You're talking about the
men
top
that I
10%.
associate with, and I know that's who I'm talking.
Hell, even if we expand it to the top 20%, which is basically everyone making over $50,000 a year, you do realize 20%. So 90% of the females are getting into a knife fight for 20% of the males. And that's the expanded number. That's not even the actually highly desired number, because the highly desired number is actually the top 5%. The 90% of the females out here in the knife fight for the top 20% and wishing they could get the top 5.
So, Jason, you're telling me that the vast majority of men are just, what's the word I'm looking for? Weak.
Now, there's a good word to start with there. Now, that's the bad news. The good news is they can choose to change it, but they're going to have to overcome a lifetime of bad programming that was tapped into them by their mammy, tapped into them by their single mother mammy and their grandmammy and the rest of those whores in the house.
That's right.
They're going to have to overcome that, and for most of them, they're going to fail. So recognize where this really goes, Tony.
Yes.
Their anger and discontent starts with the females, but it ends with us. Because ultimately, the males who don't succeed and don't do well, they become very envious and very angry of the men who can.
Well, I'm hoping the men who listen to you and who listen to the things that you say, I'm hoping they will change themselves. Because quite honestly, these women, they're like children. Once they're never satisfied, they always want their way, and no matter what you do for them, they always complain. And they really don't like black men anyway. I'm 67. It took me a long time. I was raised in the 60s and the 70s and things, and I never knew how until I started to get older and interact with black women and professional and everything. They do not like black men. And primarily they don't like black men because they want to be men, but the other part of it is they do not want to accept masculinity from men. They don't want to accept it. So why should a man knock himself out and go broke over him? Especially if he's not married to him.
Well,
which is another foolish thing.
Once again, like I say, though, starting off in the program here, I think that we come at it wrong with the idea that we're here to be liked.
That's true, of course.
As men, I think that's a red herring. I don't want to say necessarily a fool's errand, but I think it's a red herring because simps, the women
they don't like men.
Well, the women like simps, they like them, but they don't respect them.
They don't respect them. That's exactly correct. I get respect from everyone that I interact with, man or woman. If I don't get the respect that I know I deserve, then they can walk. And that goes for a man or a woman. I don't do business with people that don't respect me, and I certainly don't interact with any women that don't respect me at all.
Well, as men, I think the biggest issue that we run into is that dichotomy there between liking and respecting. Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Look, folks, everything is a power dynamic. When two people meet each other, that's a power dynamic. When two folks run into each other, when men and women talk, when men and men talk, there's a power dynamic that immediately initiates itself. Having a conversation with a woman, there is a power dynamic at play. Period. Automatically. It doesn't matter if the two of you are flat broke. It doesn't matter. You know why? Because the both of you may be broke. Yeah, you might have brought only a little bit. You might not have brought much money, and she might have not brought much money, but she might have brought hundreds of thousands of dollars of femininity. just because she doesn't have any money in her pocket does not mean that she did not bring thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars of femininity. Did you think about it that way, fellas? Did you think about it that way? Yeah, both of you might not have a penny in your pocket, but she may still have brought something of value. So therefore, if you have not also brought something of value that transcends money, and for a man that's going to be difficult, but it's certainly possible, then just understand that there's a power dynamic at play. And you might be on the losing end of it, but there is a power dynamic at play. Fellas, knowing your worth means knowing that it ain't necessary for her to like you. I didn't say that you have to be somebody she despises. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that your priority isn't to be, quote, liked. Your priority is to be respected. That she understands you are useful. You are insightful. You keep your word. You are progressive. You have a vision in this world and in this life. You're taking your piece of it. You're constantly getting up every day to see how you can become a better version of yourself. Something that transcends age. Hell, something that transcends income. Those are the things that give a man value. Those are the things that get a man respect. Your woman might not like it. Let me go ahead and give you guys some examples. Your woman may not like it. Well, you know what? Let me start from the females first. Ladies, your man might not like that you keep cutting out every day to go to the gym for an hour or two. He might not like it, but he respects it. Your man might not like your evening beauty routine, but he respects it. Your man might not like some of those things, but he will respect them when he sees the results. Your woman might not like the number of hours that you dedicate and devote to picking up a new skill and picking up new equipment. She might not like it, but she will respect it. Well, Jason, why is it she doesn't like it? Because you're not making her your number one priority. You're making something else your number one priority. You're making something else your number one priority. So she might not like it that she got to take a back seat, and that you are unapologetic about the fact that she's going to take a back seat to this. She may not like it, but she will respect it because she understands why you're doing it, and she understands how it benefits you, and thus it benefits her. Your video game fetish, she doesn't understand how that benefits her. That's why she's giving you hell over it. She don't get it. She don't see it. Nor does anyone else. So as men, this is a tough pill for you to swallow. You've heard all your red pillars sit up here and tell you that the world is ending and that women can't love you the way that you want them to, and that women don't love like us. I'm like, do they need to? Actually, the first thing you need to ask yourself is, do they actually even need to? Because the biggest issue that most of you guys in here fall into, the fellas who did the complaining with me tonight, what were they expecting? They were expecting to be liked. I want to be liked. And they're disappointed because they found out that women don't like you. Not the way that you think about being liked. But that isn't really even an issue. Does she respect you? And respect doesn't mean that she respects you on her terms. When you hear a woman and the only good thing she has to say about you is on her terms, that's a problem. If a simple-minded, dumb female sits up here and wants to talk about what she likes about a man, that she agrees with what she likes. A female who's been with me will tell you about the things that she liked that she did not agree with. That's respect. That's respect. Let me tell you all something. Every single female, every single female, y'all hear me talk about the company car. Every single female that's been with me, she knows how to change a tire. You never heard me complain about helping a chick with a tire. Yeah, she knows how to change one. I should know. I showed her. If they've been with me long enough, they should know how to change the engine air filter and the cabin air filter and the serpentine belt. That one comes later. And at least should have a good idea about how to change the oil, although on later vehicles it's a little bit tricky. They got them damn plates up at the bottom of them now. Try to make it hard, but you get the idea. Yeah, those are things she might not want to do. That's a requisite for being here. I ain't them fellas, by the way, and I come in from the gate, from the door, saying that's what it will be. Fellas, they don't like it. I didn't say that they like it. They need to respect it. They need to respect it. Tell her, hey, baby, I'm going to show you something new today. Oh, really? Yeah. Grab my toolbox over there. I'm going to show you something new. Didn't ask if she liked it. Didn't ask if it's a great idea. And by the way, you know why if she says no, it's not a heartbreaking situation? Because she had to do that within the first 30 days. That's not something I sprung on her 2 damn years later. Let's bond over the car. I'll be damned. I'm not going to be talking to you for 30 days if we haven't already gotten that cleared. Oh, no. We don't have any petty princesses here. We have warrior princesses here. Not petty ones. We got warrior princesses. Oh, yeah. And you are still going to get your hair done, still going to get your nails done, still going to get your massages. You're still going to do that. You will still do that. Understand that. You will still do it. As men, that's exercising power, by the way. There need to be rewards and there need to be requirements. And understand, women like that. A woman wants that. A woman is looking for you to say, here's the plan, here's the agenda. And if you say this is the plan and the agenda, you got to be like, oh, I'm serious. I'm dead ass serious. This is what we're doing. Pick them up, put them down. Because if you are wishy-washy, if you're equivocating, if you're weak, if she takes it that you're saying it because you're testing her, not because it's really what you want, but that this is a test, she's going to test you back. Well, let me find out how serious you really are. Yeah, I don't think I'll do that. Most fellas fail today because they're trying to figure out what the female's plan is because you're like, well, what's separating me from getting them draws? Here's the real thing. If you really want a female to desire you sexually, make it clear that you don't care if y'all are going to have sex or not. This is why? Because that's letting her know that you consider sex to be a given. Too many fellas don't know how to make sex a given. Sex is not a given, so sex becomes the sole focus of his being. And once a woman realizes that you have no purpose nor agenda in her life for her except sexual contact, she's going to start looking for your pockets. Now it's become a mercenary transaction. Every relationship in life is transactional. Yes, that's true. But every relationship is not mercenarial. If you don't know what a mercenary is, look it up. Every relationship is not mercenarial. Yes, it can be transactional, but not mercenarial. When I'm talking about she sees the value in you. Let me explain something, because this kind of stuff here just kills me in many, many ways. Your female should be happy to vacuum out your car when she sees what the value it is to you. Assuming, of course, it has equal value to her. Shouldn't be a fight over it. My girlfriends have all wanted to drive all my vehicles. That's never been an issue. It amazes me to see these guys out here. It amazes me. Your woman doesn't know nothing about the rims. If she gets inside of it and it's a nice experience, you ain't going to have to fight over those kind of things. But if you don't actually know your worth and you can't imprint it, nor translate it, nor communicate it, it ends up like this. And the rest is frustration. Kanye West might have done some things that we disagree with, but there are some lessons to be learned from that. It ain't Kanye West sitting up here boo-hooing and singing the blues. A year later is Kim saying, wow, I'd do anything to have them back. Having standards and not being afraid to make enemies about it, yeah, that kind of makes a big-ass difference. To the fellas, knowing your worth means having a life that is already in progress before a female gets there. Something that's being built before the female gets there. That she's meeting you in the middle of the construction project, not at the beginning of it. That's very, very important. A man who knows his worth is already working. You can't meet a woman and then tell her I'm going to get to work. Fellas want to sit up here and meet a female and she needs to motivate him. Well, she should neither be motivating you nor driving you, although a woman can be motivating, but you got to have drive already. If you don't already have drive, if it takes that female to get you to be driven, then get ready for exploitation. Because if she's the only thing that motivates you, and she's the only thing that gets you picking them up and putting them down, and if nothing's going to get done because she's not there, and if you're not going to excel until she shows up, then you're useless. Another thing I want to talk about here tonight is excelling. And this is going to upset the hell out of a bunch of fellas here tonight. Fellas, if you don't excel, and by excel, I mean you are in the top 10% on the planet at something that you do that is actually useful. Your Xbox habit does not count. Your weed habit does not count. Fellas, if you are not in the top 10% of excellence of something that you do, you need a strong foe in your life. That's what you qualify for. You don't have to like that. A man should have his income together, that's true, but he should have a mission in this world. There should be something that he's doing in this world and doing in his life that isn't a part of his career occupation. What are you using that develops yourself as a person? You see, women go to college and get degrees on things that they consider develop them as a person. True, it doesn't make money. Things that develop us personally usually don't. But you need it. You need it. Otherwise, you just become a walking paycheck. A woman needs to have a man that she can sit down and talk to, exchange ideas with. And when she gets done talking, she's a better, smarter person as a result, especially for the things you disagreed with. And that takes us back. The man is supposed to teach her and game her up about the good part of Erewhon and the bad part, so that she leaves a different person. You can't be wishy-washy. You can't be vacillating over it. You can't be wobbly. You can't be unstable when you stand up about it. It's got to be very, very clear what you're doing and why. That's how you gain a woman's respect. Now I'm going to say something else that folks are not going to like here tonight, but it's true. If I may be brutally honest, it's true. Tony said, he gets the feeling that most of these black women today don't even like black men. He said he gets the idea and the feeling they don't even like black men. He means like have disdain for black men. You know what? I agree. I agree with that completely. Not just from the standpoint of what I said earlier about they don't like us as men. I agree. Most black women today have disdain for black men. You know why? Because it's deserved in many cases. But it's true. Fellas, you ain't gonna like that, but it's true. Whole bunch of fellas out here at young ages, they're trying to be basketball players, they're trying to be rappers. Don't you know these women understand that's not practical? That's why the females all line up at the damn combines. Those are the only ones that it's practical to kiss his ass for an NFL contract. The rest of you are pipe dreaming. Hardship and adversity in life is supposed to make you a more excellent male, but for most of you, hardship and adversity broke you. You have mediocre goals, mediocre intellect, mediocre accomplishments, mediocre vision. I have no problem with a man telling me that he wants to be a millionaire and own skyscrapers. That's great. That's wonderful. I haven't seen anything in your life that points in that direction. You're not trying to learn real estate. You're not trying to double your income every 24 to 36 months, but you have a whole lot of talk. And another thing for the bookworms, women today don't have respect for you being an eternal student. At some point, she wants to see the eternal student turn into a builder. Women don't like lack of results. And men don't like it when women eventually say, yeah, you know what, damn all this talking. But the women aren't going to say damn all the talking. You know why? Because as a female, she knows it's not productive and she knows it doesn't do anything, but she doesn't know what to tell you to get yourself together and to be the kind of man that she would look up to and respect. She doesn't know how to tell you how to become a man. A woman doesn't know how to tell a man how to be a competitor. Most women today, most black women today do not like black men. You know why? Because most black women, I'm going to say this tonight. You cannot like this if you want to. To all the fellas out there, you don't have to like it. You don't have to think it's okay. You can sit up here and say whatever the hell you want to, you soy boy little bastard, but it's the truth. Most black women do not have respect for black men today because they do not see a nation full of competitors. And if you don't like that, to hell with you.
And deal with it, nigga.
It's true, because we are raised in an ultra-competitive environment as black people. Being isolated in these pockets of poverty and deprivation of resources, that creates an ultra-competitive environment. You see it in South America, you see it in Mexico, you see it in certain parts of Europe, you see it in certain parts of Indochina. Can I say Indochina anymore? Areas that you're deprived of resources, that creates an ultra-competitive environment. That woman knows that her survival is going to depend on how competitive a male she can get to commit to her. And when she looks up and sees a bunch of dudes who are very, very comfortable being uncompetitive, that's an issue. In the chat room, James, you need to give us a call. Caller from area code 332. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is the rock of this country from Manhattan.
And what is on your mind? You've got your speakers playing, sir. You need to turn those off.
I was told to call in this evening.
For life. Okay, you already know why you were told to call in, sir.
Because basically most of black men are in dysfunctional relationships with black women. And of course, black women are very mouthy with their fellow companions. So I was asking, under what circumstances do black men go off
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. You got some real jankiness going on your phone here. I don't know if you're on Bluetooth. I don't know if you're talking across the room in tin cans. Your volume keeps swinging up way low. So can you, whatever you're doing to move around, can you just sit still? He took that literally. Okay, he's going to tell us about his views on this stuff and doesn't have his act together. But he's going to tell y'all that the women are mouthy and they need to get themselves together. He's not making it through a phone call.
Can you hear me better?
Yeah, we can hear you the whole time, sir.
Okay. So the question is, under what circumstances do black men go out and earn a criminal record defending black women?
Okay, well, first of all, sir.
Or their black women.
Okay, first of all, if you are in a situation where solid women don't fool with you, you got to get your life together along with that phone. You do not put yourself in harm's way for a female who's not on the agenda. If she's not on the team and not doing what she's supposed to be doing as far as accommodating, well, then there's no reason. First of all, you should never be stupid enough, sir, to put yourself in a life or death situation because she should never be there in the first place. So the answer to your question is never. You never put your life on the line for a female who has not already proven that she is under your protection and provision. Now, I explained that whole thing there. Did you really listen that whole time thinking that I was just saying do that for just any random chick you laying up with? Was that really what you thought?
Oh, absolutely not.
Okay, then I literally don't understand the basis of this question because your whole question was based on how do you know? But if you already knew that and you didn't take that from what I said, then how did you ask that question?
Well, because the majority of black men, we date black women, and therefore we are in dysfunctional relationships. And
how old are you, sir?
I'm 40.
How many children do you have, sir?
0.
How long have you lived in Manhattan, sir?
13 years.
Where'd you come from before Manhattan?
The West Coast.
Where on the West Coast?
I'm originally from the West Coast.
Now, the West Coast is a whole
San Diego,
large region.
San Diego, California.
Now he's
in California.
Now he's in Manhattan, sir. Being in Manhattan.
Yes, sir.
Are you? If you're having trouble other females, and by the way, I dig chicks from New York. That's one of my favorite places for it. So once again, if you're in dysfunctional relationships, does that not tell us a lot about you? If you're noticing that you have a pattern of dysfunctional relationships, you're the only common denominator, but yet you're talking to us about the women. So what you're telling us is that you're okay. It's all the women that you've met who are dysfunctional, correct?
Absolutely not. No, that's not what I said.
Okay, sir, but you did say that black men are in dysfunctional relationships. So what I'm saying is that your relationships are your choice. For you to make that statement means that you're saying that the women are the dysfunctional ones and you're okay. So which is it, sir? Do we have a bunch of dysfunctional relationships, or are you speaking for everybody else except yourself now? Because you can't do that. So when you talk about all these black men and they're plagued with dysfunctional relationships because they're in relationships with black women, are you talking about yourself?
No.
Then on what authority?
Not in a relationship.
Okay, then on what authority are you making such an ambitious, audacious claim if you're not speaking about yourself? You're speaking for everybody else?
I was speaking hypothetically, sir, pertaining the subject matter.
Okay, so in other words, you created and concocted a mythical, non-existent example to try to question why we
That's not. I asked under what circumstances would a black man?
Sir, do you realize that everybody heard what you said? They read what you said. Now you got on the phone. You do realize we're here. This is recorded, right? You do realize I'm just repeating your words, right? You do realize that, don't you? I'm just repeating your words.
Okay.
You said in the chat room, so it's okay to get a criminal record as long as it's over your woman. Those are your exact words. Those are your exact
Correct.
words. And then when he called in, well, most of these women is mouthy. So the women that you deal with are mouthy, sir?
Well, of course, I would have to elaborate.
Okay, sir, that's a yes or no question. The women that you deal with are mouthy?
The majority of black women, yeah.
Okay, well, first of all, you're really speaking for yourself. But if the women that you attract are mouthy and you're the only common denominator, what does that tell us about you? Second try, cat got his tongue. If the women that you deal with are mouthy and you're the only common denominator, what does that tell us about the common denominator?
I have no idea.
Could it be, and I mean this respectfully, could it be that the women who meet you see some things that are lacking, and that the women who encounter you, as I said before, they kind of meet you with contempt and disdain because they see it as necessary to crap test you, because they don't really believe that you're solid. You might tell yourself you are, but the women don't see you that way. Could that possibly be it?
Maybe.
Okay. Then maybe it's time to do some introspection about that. Well, Jason, how do you do some introspection about that? Easy. What you need to do, sir, is you need to call your last 2 ex-girlfriends. Might be a little bit of a chore. You need to call them. You need to be humble. You need to be introspective. But you need to ask them one question. Tell them, by the way, did you ever feel like I was deficient in some way? That you felt like you had to compensate for some deficiency with me? And that's all you say. Don't say anything beyond that. Now, if she starts answering, you say, okay, let me listen. If she says, well, no, then you tell her, well, yeah, because I noticed you were mouthy a lot and kind of disrespectful. And it seems like if I was not deficient, then why did you feel like that was necessary? Because if there's one thing, you got one female, because if you made her your woman, well, you were rocking with her. So if you liked her the way she was, well, I like her, I just don't like mouthiness. And you got 2 of them in a row that did that. Your likes and their deficiencies seem to be in conflict. Because if that's a major part of their personality, how did they end up your girlfriend? With something that you claim you don't like so much. If that's a major part of their personality, how did that qualify for being a girlfriend? Because that should have canceled out any positives, correct?
Right, exactly. Of course, it never starts off that way.
It always starts off that way. Always. Now, if your priority is, let me get next to this broad, well, yeah, you're overlooking those other things because your priority says, I will suffer any indignity, I will take any punishment, any sacrifice. And then later, after you've had sex with her, now it's, oh, by the way, let me start looking at her and see how she acts. As opposed to, no, let me see how she acts first and then decide if I'm sexually attracted to her. Y'all start with sexual attraction first and then personality or character flaws second. I'm like, let me find the character flaws first, then I'll figure out if I'm attracted to you.
Well, you're the one that said a woman can not fake it longer than a year, I believe.
No, she's not going to be able to fake it for 3 or 4 years. But certainly if you are crap testing her, on a regular basis for a year, it's very unlikely she's going to get out the first year. Very unlikely. And she absolutely will not make it 3 or 4 years. That's not happening.
Well, I appreciate the advice.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here. Get a new phone or something. Let me get caller from area code 718. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Jason, it's James. I'm from Pennsylvania.
Okay,
you know me from New York, Lower East Side.
Okay, James, from where at in Pennsylvania?
I'm out here in Bushkill.
All right,
been out here 6 years.
Okay, and what is on your mind?
Okay, they told me to call in because I made a statement. I agree with what you said, 50%. That a lot of these women, they really don't have a positive man to look at. They're not seeing the best in them. But then there's the other side of the coin, and I can only speak for myself personally. My family's filled with nothing but hyenas, top to bottom, from the head down. Okay, you got, a lot of these women, they just want to emasculate a man, whether he's good or bad. Most of the time, they want to emasculate the good ones. Okay, not the bad ones. I noticed the bad men, they get more respect than the good, decent ones.
I find that
there's
an interesting use of words and verbiage there you have. So I'm intrigued, James. Can you please define for me what is a quote good man?
Number one, for me, a good man is a man that respects himself and respects others. Whether it's a man or a woman he's respecting, whether it's a relative.
Okay, I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. What does respects himself specifically mean? That's a general term you're using. What does respect himself mean?
Just a positive person, a positive asset to society, himself, and others around him.
Okay, I don't know what that means. What is positive? These are all subjective terms that you're using. Good man, respects himself, positive. These are subjective. Can you tell us specifically what that means?
I'll try.
Thank you. But by the way, I want you all to understand here, and I'm going to let you finish. I want you all to understand he's got a complaint about the women's standards. But if you even ask him, well, what would be a good man? Take a look at how vague this all is. But he wants the women to understand it, just intrinsically.
Okay, I can only speak positive about myself. Went to school, all grades. Went to college, finished. Got several city jobs. Last one, New York City subway, 30 years. Retired at 55. I can work on any car. I do carpentry. I do architecture, drafting. I can fix or repair almost anything someone gives me since I was 5 years old. Never did drugs, never did drinking. Was in the Christian church since I was 13. And I get zero respect from the women in my family. Emasculate me. I argue, and don't want to argue with them, but they just keep pushing those buttons, disrespecting me, and I have to put them in check. They don't respect. They want to emasculate most men, no matter how positive you are.
Okay, well, let me go ahead and, now that we've heard, okay, well, slow down. Okay, sir, time is limited here. I just want to make, okay, sir, we're not going to do that. We're not going to talk over the host, sir.
Sorry.
Get a hold of yourself.
I'm sorry.
We will not do that.
Okay.
I have to host my program. You rattled off a list of things, and I thought some of those were rather interesting. Now that you've given us a general idea of what to you is considered to be a good man, okay, can you now give us specifically what it is that you consider to be a, quote, bad man, and why it is that if you think these women prefer that in a man, why it is you think that those are bad characteristics if the women prefer it?
Okay, I'm not sure what you're asking. You're saying
what I'm saying is you said that there are good men and that there are bad men. Got it. You've now given us a list of attributes, even though it's specific to yourself, a list of specific attributes that you say this is the definition of a, quote, good man. Got it. Because we can have a discussion, but we need to have a clear frame of reference for what these terms mean. So now that you've clearly defined enough what a, quote, good man is, I now want to know what your specific definition of a bad man is, but I also want to know if you think that the women prefer the, quote, bad man. You also need to explain to us why the women would prefer whatever the list of bad attributes is you're about to name. So I want you to give me the list of bad attributes and why you think it is those women prefer it.
Okay, what I think are bad attributes is number one, not being responsible. And what I mean by responsible is we all know.
Okay, well, for the sake of time, just give us specific examples, not drawing out an example, just a specific name. What is not being responsible? What does that mean?
Number one, education. If you're not going to school and getting that education, that is not being responsible, because if you don't have your education, there is no way you can succeed in this world or have a wife or a family. And
George H.W. Bush became president of the United States. Donald J. Trump became president of the United States.
That's a good point. Well, yeah. What can I say? I can't speak about that, but I can
just keep naming off names if you want me to. By the way, I could do this all night, but those are the two easiest ones to name off: Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, Albert Einstein. Thomas Edison. If you really want to get down to it, there. So the world is run by the C students. Take a look at 50 Cent. Take a look at T.I. They are both far more successful than either you or I. I'm not just talking about you. They're more successful than me. I'm probably smarter than all of you, probably more informed than all of you. But I can freely admit, by the way, those two brothers are more successful than I've been, and it didn't take them nearly as long. So what was it that those two C and D students understood that we don't? And maybe there's something for us to not be jealous of, but to learn from. Maybe we were sold a bill of bad goods and those guys found a cheat code. Maybe the same one that helped that George W. Bush and Trump guy. But remember, the world is run by the C and D students. The A students work for
they're not run by the A students.
The A and B students work for the C and D students.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I noticed when I was in college for architecture, the B and C and D students, the professor praised them. I don't know why. Their work wasn't crap. I noticed I don't know, was it image? They had an image about them. I don't know.
Okay, well, what are the other attributes you were wanting to go over there?
Like I said, education. You got to have an education. Basically, 99% of us, we're not going to be president, but we have to have an education to excel in this world. You got to you got to make money to take care of.
Okay, we'll take that. We'll take that. We'll take that as a given. You already mentioned about you need to go to school thing. You're not responsible if you're not going to school. Yeah. Okay, fine. What else makes you not? Right. What else is a characteristic of a man who's bad because he's not responsible?
Okay, indulging in illicit behavior as far as like sleeping around, no control, just sleeping around, having children everywhere, getting hooked on drugs, alcohol, even though they legalized the marijuana, falling into the bad crowd. That's negative. And the list goes on.
Okay. Now, all those things right there, they certainly would, that certainly would not be so great. There's no question about that whatsoever. So your issue is what makes a man a bad man is not being responsible.
Yeah. course.
Okay. Was there anything else that is not on that list that you just gave us that also to you would qualify as intrinsically a bad man?
Not being one with your broadcast. That's being a bad man. Not getting on board with your broadcast.
Well, I'm certainly in a very self-serving way. I can probably agree with that one. A little self-serving there, but I'll go ahead and have that. All right, now I want everyone to understand what the purpose of this exercise is. I want you all to understand what it is, because you see, what usually happens in society is you have guys who, for whatever their reasons are, we have overly simplistic things, and we didn't really give it a lot of thought to it. You've mentioned about the women in your family, the women in your family, the women in your family. Problem, the world is a whole lot bigger than the women in your family. Might be time to meet some females that you are not genetically tied to. Might be time to start doing that.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because it also goes further than the family. I notice a lot of the women in the church.
Okay, I'm gonna get to that. Now, you mentioned some things. I could start with the bad guy thing first, but that's not really where the real issue comes from. The real issue comes from this erroneous misnomer of the so-called good male. Now, you notice over the years, I'm the guy who taught all of you that there's no such thing as a good girl. I don't give a damn where she wears, what she dresses, her church. That actually makes her more suspect. I've told you all, there's no such thing as a good girl. None. That's a lie that's been fed to you by the women because it serves them. But there is no such thing as a, quote, good girl. Not your definition of a, quote, good girl. And it can't exist because your definition of the, quote, good girl is an ideal. Well, what's wrong with that ideal? Your ideal is probably based upon a woman that you didn't really know that well. Well, Jason, who would that be? Probably your grandmama? You did not grow up with that woman. You didn't go to middle school, high school, find out what she was really doing. All you have is the little old lady that you met. You met her as a little old lady and she left this world as one. But you never actually knew who she was, not the way the people who grew up with her did. And they probably have some stories to tell you that would make you feel a little funny. Now, would it ultimately fundamentally change the way you feel about this woman? Probably not. It probably wouldn't make you hate her or something, but it certainly would color that idealized image of her that you have. So you're projecting that ideal you're carrying around and now projecting it onto a bunch of regular human flawed females, even if they do not want to admit to their flaws. So if you're coming into the world projecting that idealized version of what a, quote, good girl is, it's probably from someone that they weren't even like that, not the degree that you're subscribing to it. Nobody ever thinks to ask their grandmama, hey, you ever have a threesome? Nobody thinks to ever ask them that. Hey, grandmama, you ever got flip-flopped in the back of a Cadillac? Was you one of them girls behind the bleachers? Unless somebody's got her on video or something like that. It's like, you never think to ask something like that. But if you knew for a fact, that would probably change the way you thought when she was making, the red beans and rice and chocolate chip cookies for you. That would probably change it. Now you're out in the world and you're saying, my grandmama was perfect. If the rest of you hoes could have been like her. Meanwhile, your uncles and stuff sitting around saying, let little nephew run wild for a minute. He don't know no better.
Yeah.
So when
family business. Yeah, my grandmother was a mess.
Well, also, okay, but here's the thing. What I'm saying, though, is that whatever you consider to be a, quote, good girl, that's a projection usually that's been constructed. Now, that doesn't mean that they have a pass for their foibles. What I'm saying is that's usually a projection. Same thing for that good guy thing you just named. All right, folks, let's go down the list because I did list them. He named off, respects himself and others, went to school, all grades, went to college, city job, New York City subway, 30 years, does carpentry, architecture, drafting, never done drugs or alcohol, in church since 13. Sound about right, sir?
Auto mechanics. You know, I'm with the Mopars, 60s, 70s, vintage, swapping engines, trannies, rear ends, wiring harnesses, computers. I could do it all.
Okay, well, he's
but
handy.
No respect
Slow down.
No black women.
Sir, slow down. That's all great. That's all wonderful. What I want you to understand is the thing I've taught you all for years. The attributes that make you a good employee are not the attributes that make you a good mate. I've been saying that about the women forever because they project these things. The stuff that you mentioned here, these are all the things that black women say should make them the primary pick for black men. Why would you go after the little sweet sex pot over there? Why, take a look at me. Why, I'm at my job. I was employee of the month. I've got a degree in psychology. I can go down the list for them too. To which you would say, well, yes, even if you did have those attributes, that does not necessarily make you wife material nor girlfriend material. It makes you a good employee. There's no doubt about that. It made you a good student and a good employee. But that does not necessarily mean that those same attributes make you a good mate. That's called conflation. Well, these are the things they drilled it into me in 12, 13 years of school. If I went to college, 14, 15, 16 years. How can they not be universal? Because they're not. Your ability to memorize numbers and factors and numerals in math class does not make you good husband material. Makes you a good student. Damn sure does that. Make sure you get a city job good. Sure does that. But that does not mean that it will endear you to a woman. Now, these other things, I've listed them before. It certainly helps make you well-rounded. You're too quick to talk, sir. I already heard everything. Listen for a moment so you can see what some of the logical fallacies and flaws are that you've been making that are making you so frustrated. The attributes that you listed off, and this would be a very hard pill for you to swallow. I'm going to say this to you in a manner that I hope makes an impact on you. The attributes that you listed don't matter to women. It doesn't.
Obviously, they don't.
Sir, stop talking. These things don't matter to women. Not the way you think they do, or should I say the way you wish they did. But you're naming them because it's all you got. That's why you're putting such a huge premium on them. Not because they matter to women, but because they're all you have. And you are desperately attempting to get the women to desire what you've got rather than you bring the women what they want and need. That's the problem. And I should know. I was one of those little geeky kids in school. With the glasses and everything else. I was socially awkward. Sure was. And over the course of a number of years, I decided I wanted to change that. It wasn't an easy process, but now that I've learned, I can tell guys how to change that if they wish to. The real issue today is they don't want to change it, but okay, fine. My grades in school are not what make me a man or a valuable man. That's great, that's wonderful, but as I said to you before, I can name for you a number of people, they didn't have great grades either. So you're using a misleading metric. Your grades make you a good student. That's about it. They just arrested a damn serial killer. He was good in school, owned his own architecture firm. You talk about architecture and killing everybody he can get his hands on. Would that be a good person? The attributes in him. I went to college. A lot of folk went to college. You went to college with some pretty damn screwed up people too, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
But you named that as a specific, and I drilled you about that, so you can't say you didn't know. I drilled you about women. I need a specific, get down to the nuts and bolts. Specifically, I went to all grades, went to college. And meanwhile, you're telling me, by the way, a person go to college and be not worth a crap as a human being, as a, quote, good person. I had a city job. Y'all, he had a city job in New York City. Now, I will give them credit. Some of the most hardest working people I've ever seen work for the city of New York, certainly in the subways. But are the subway workers in New York, in your opinion, paragons of virtue, goodness, and masculinity?
No.
And yet you named that as an attribute that you share with, quote, good people. And yet down the list, making good grades makes you a good person. Oh, no, I knew some folks with terrible grades. They had good grades and terrible people. Going to college. Oh, no, some of my college classmates, jackasses. Working for the city. No, I wouldn't say that makes good people. And what I'm saying is you named those as the specifics. Specifically.
I didn't do 25. I did 30. I didn't have the age.
Okay, well,
I'm reading the chat.
That's great. Well, my real thing is 25, 35 years. You listed that vocation as one of the things that a good person has. And what I'm saying is, no, those are good things. Those are things a good employee has. Those are things a good employee has, but not good people. Does carpentry, architecture, drafting, auto repair. Well, that certainly makes you useful. Damn right about that. that makes you useful. It absolutely does. And I think that enhances a person. It absolutely does. Makes them a good person to be continued. Never done drugs or alcohol. Well, I'm right there with you. I have never done any of the illicit substances. I've never had to drink alcohol in my life. Every time I say that, people want to introduce me to stuff. You should try a daiquiri. No, you should try sitting your ass down. I don't need to try nothing. But the bottom line is I've never done any of those things either. I've known people who were screwed up on drugs, alcohol, and everything else. Brother, I'm in the ultimate position to judge all of them. I have never thought worse of a person because they did drugs or alcohol. And I don't mean they sitting over there getting blowed. What I'm saying is somebody who has done drugs and is now clean, I don't consider myself to be better or higher than any of them. And I've never done alcohol before, never done drugs. And I don't consider myself to be better than someone who has. In church since 13, sir, have you seen the black church in the last 35, 40 years?
Yeah, it's a mess, and I don't go anymore. I stopped going 6 years ago. It's a disaster.
But you listed your church attended. Do y'all see a pattern here? Do you see a pattern forming? But these attributes that you, upon further examination, will say, by the way, that doesn't actually mean anything, and some of these are negatives. And those were the things that you listed as being a good person's characteristics as embodied by you. Not by somebody else, but by you. And I'm just trying to show you these are actually misnomers. These are things that on first blush, you would say, well, this should count as a positive. And I'm saying that they can, but not that they will. Now, let me tell you some things that all, quote, good people have in common. And they are things that you did not mention. Good people don't lie.
True.
Did you get that?
I don't lie.
You didn't list that?
Mm-hmm. I didn't.
You didn't list
that.
But
that's true.
Okay. Good people don't lie. Good people keep their word. We want a world where people keep their word. Good people do not exploit and harm others.
That's true. That's me.
You're fair dealing.
Mm-hmm.
If I tell you this is what it is, this is what it is. Good people look out for the common interests, not just their own. Of course, you must look out for your own interests, because if you do not protect yourself, you will be helpless to do anything for anyone else. True, but good people also look out for the common interests beyond themselves. Right. Good people think about the future and how to make tomorrow better than today. Right. Jason, how do you define better? Brother Neely Fuller defines good. How does he define good? Constructive versus destructive. How do we know we found something that is good? It is constructive. How do we know we found something bad? It is destructive. And all of us can define constructive versus destructive. See, those are good people. Now, if you are a honest person who keeps their word and you do carpentry, architecture, drafting, auto repair, well, guess what? You're probably the mechanic I want. And you're probably the carpenter I want. But being a carpenter isn't what raised you to that level. It's being somebody I can trust. That is one of your core principles, is being trustworthy. Anything else you do simply enhances that aspect of you. Now, do you notice there's a word I didn't use? I didn't use the word love. You see, Jason Black is consistent. Love is a subjective term. It can mean different things to different people. Keeping your word means the same thing to everyone. Not exploiting people means the same thing to everyone. Bringing no harm to not being the aggressor bringing harm to other people means the same thing to everyone. Love is subjective. The things I listed that make you a good person are not. Furthermore, you cannot nibble around the edges and weaken those things I just said without becoming a bad person. And what I would suggest to you is that maybe the women in your family don't have a lot of experience with good people, much less good men. But apparently you haven't had a lot of experience with them either. And you shouldn't allow the jadedness and cynicism of other people to become yours. Those are their demons. You should not have them become yours. Let them carry their own demons around. It's very unfortunate. It's very sad. Probably won't be able to fix it or redeem them, but those should be their demons to carry, not yours. And right now, they've become your demons, because I am going to tell you, the attitude that you have expressed on the phone is going to make women very defensive around you. I am certain that the moment you walk up, it is written all over your face. I've seen that a lot in places like Philadelphia. Philadelphia is one of the most overtly hostile cities I've ever been in, with the expression of black men and women's faces. Philadelphia is not the city of brotherly love. It's the most hostile place I've ever seen.
Yeah, I'm not near Philly. I'm about 3 hours away.
Okay, but my point is the rest of Pennsylvania ain't a whole lot different. Pittsburgh, I can go down the list.
Yeah,
so
no, it's not. You're right.
And what I'm saying is you all are walking around with these chips on your shoulder. Now, maybe I'm a little bit different because I'm from Louisiana and I'm from the South. But let me tell you, my city, Shreveport, was the murder capital of America in the early 90s. Not Los Angeles, Shreveport, Louisiana. Where I'm from, hospitality is enforced at gunpoint. Saying the wrong thing will not just get you insulted, it could get your head blown clean off your shoulders. So we learned a little bit differently down there. And what I'm saying is that you might not understand it because there are just so many of you who are asses. But I'm just telling you, nobody wants to hang out with somebody who's just approaching them hostile. That it is written on your face. Remember, our animal instincts tell us whether a person is approaching like that. Our animal instincts have to do that, otherwise we wouldn't live long. And if you are approaching women with this innate hostile energy itself, there are certain things a person can't fake. You can't fake a smile. You can't fake being genuinely at peace and at ease. You can't fake that. This is why a man needs to have power in his life. Power for a man is not the I'm relaxed on the beach and I am distanced from my emotions. Peace for a man is being so empowered that you are holding, that your stoicism is so rock solid that these negative energies don't override it. So it's not necessarily the presence of pleasantness. It is the ability to keep negative in its corner. And in your case, I would find it very, very hard to believe that you do that very well. Now, it may be based on your experiences, and I understand that. What I'm also telling you is this is the way in which you are approaching other people, and most likely for the women, it's written all over your face. Now, I have been to very aggressive cities like Philadelphia, Chicago, New York, and I've used it as a test to see if I can soften the women up and talk to them. And it works. But you know what I figured out? I figured out I don't talk to them the way the men where they live do. I keep my southern accent tucked in, and I don't talk to them the way you all do. And what I'm saying is you've all gotten so used to handling each other like that you don't realize you're handling each other like that. Now, if you are going to say to me what some others have said to me here tonight about the hostility of the women, I would like to remind you men of one other thing. We are not here to trust the women. We are here to lead them. And what does leadership mean? Leadership means we set the model. Leadership means that I do not expect that they are going to walk through the door in proper condition. You're going to be in proper condition when I get done. That's called leadership. So leadership does not have the expectation that they are built and ready. Leadership has the expectation they will be built and ready when I'm done. Now,
can I interject?
If you are just assuming that they're going to come to you ready, then you're going to get the hostile response that you're engendering, which is based on disappointment.
Can I interject? You're correct. You're absolutely correct. Can I interject?
Sure.
Can I jump in, Jason? Real quick, meeting women is not the issue. Not my issue at all, not the problem.
I didn't say it was. I never said it was the issue, sir. I didn't say that. I'm talking about when you start talking to them, I'm pretty sure it goes off the rails not very long after you two start interacting with each other. I'm pretty sure it goes off the rails there.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Okay, then you're a liar because you already earlier said that the problem is the women have attitudes and they don't trust black men. And you already said that. So were you talking about somebody else or were you talking about your own experiences?
Yeah, I'm talking about my own experiences. Okay, and I don't get involved with women.
What are you talking about?
I see it up front. All it takes is 5 minutes. You know, when someone is talking, you can tell right away if that's somebody you want to be with or be around.
Okay, once again, sir, I will backtrack this again. 5 minutes of whom talking to her? You?
If I'm talking to someone,
right,
whether it's male or female, I know right away. I know right away.
Right, and that's the point I made from the very beginning. Right. I don't think you are going to make it very far. Meeting the women ain't the problem. I didn't say it was. Once again, I think if you're the one handling the conversation, it's not going, as I said, you say, I know the first 5 minutes. I just said to him before, he doesn't want to accept this. These are tough pills to swallow. Yeah, if I let you talk to them for any real length of time, I'm pretty sure it's going to go right off the rails right after you start talking to them. Drop that same broad in my lap and it'll be something different. Don't believe me? Click on the videos page right here on The Business. Y'all saw that chick call me up, cuss me smooth, slap the hell out for about 15, 20 minutes. And I sat there and told y'all, watch me flip this broad. Just so I could show you all how it's done. There ain't somebody telling you I did that. You all saw me do it live here on the air, and she isn't the first and she ain't gonna be the last. And you saw me do it. What I'm saying is in your hands, you two would have been cussing at each other all the whole damn time, like you're gonna make something happen. And I did it simply so I could show you, fellas, here's how it's done. Just so I could bring me the most hostile ass bulldog you ever met and watch me do what I do. You guys don't do that. You know why? Because as you said, I feel emasculated. They feel it's their job to emasculate me. So what does that mean? This is a chick you ain't even in a relationship with. How the hell can a chick you're not in a relationship with emasculate you? How can she? Because you would have to have an expectation that she's going to respect your masculinity. But if you're not in a relationship with her, how did you have that expectation? So yes, I can imagine you are routinely disappointed, which will routinely result in you being routinely hostile, which is the point I've been making the whole time. And I know it must be true because you said it.
Mm-hmm. You're right.
Now, I'm not here to tell you you're going to fix all that in one evening. I'm not here to tell you whether or not you can fix it all. For everyone else here listening, I'm here to identify for them. These attributes that he listed, he named them, and he's looking to get brownie points for them in a world that doesn't respect those as the primary attributes. Those are not the primary attributes the woman latches onto. These are the additions that enhance those attributes. A woman respects honesty. A woman respects courage. That goes that masculinity and manhood and needs some gangster in you. A woman respects courage. A woman respects valor. A woman respects a man with a code of conduct, even if it's a criminal code of conduct. To The Rock, who called in earlier, women respect a man's code of conduct, even if it is a criminal code of conduct. Now, to go on to this bad guys thing that you were mentioning there before, fellas who not responsible, not going to school, we already knocked that down. Sexual promiscuity. A female doesn't want a man that other women don't want, sir. Yikes. A female is not attracted to a man. She's not primarily attracted to a man that other women don't want. When a chick knows that other women don't want the man she with, she hides that nigga. When she knows they want him, she's showing them off. Hey, women want trophies. So those attributes that you consider to be a negative, sir, sexual promiscuity does not mean the same thing for women that it does for men, sir. Women are enhanced by having as few sex partners as possible. Men are enhanced by sexual experience. That is what a woman expects from a man. And why is that important? Because women's bodies, without me getting too graphic, are more complex than men's are. And she would not like to have to lead you to everything, because a woman does not feel sexually aroused by a man that she must teach things, including her body. A woman would much rather have a man who's already ready to go. Some other chick broke him in and now he knows what to do. A woman is not, I said this at the beginning of the program, a woman is not, I hope the fellas are taking tips tonight. Take a look at the females in the chat room. The women are not arguing with me, y'all. It's the truth. They're not saying it because they're stands. They're here because they're like, finally, somebody knows the damn truth. Women do not hold it against you because she doesn't want, you want to take her out of the sexual experience, have her sit there and have her tell you where all the interesting area codes are on her body. That will take her right out of the experience because she's feeling like she's having to teach you like a child. She would much rather you knock this out and work it out with some other woman, so she gets all the benefits. That's what a woman wants. Hey, you go work it out with the chick you was with before me and just bring me all the good parts. Yeah, I don't need the details. Just work it out and just bring me the good parts. That's what a woman wants. She wants you to be ready. She wants you to be her Prince Charming. She wants all the pieces in place. She doesn't care how you got the pieces, just so long as they're there. As men, you consider that to be counterintuitive. Well, yeah, because that's a negative thing. It sure is for a chick. Yeah, we don't know. She's like, hey, I done slept with 50 niggas. I'm ready for everything. Whoa. Now I'm out the experience.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you want a woman who knows what she's doing?
Yep.
I'll show you what to do. No. No, I don't need an old pro getting in the bed with me. I'm not looking for an old pro. Yeah, not even a silly word, just fine. I'll work on that. We'll get through it. Drug use. Once again, I think I kind of covered that. Certainly don't want you to be a drug head, I imagine. But that's because that's probably going to be where you're going to fall into reckless behavior. Good people are not reckless. Bad people are reckless. Falling into a bad crowd. Well, bad crowd, once again, is a subjective term. However, if that bad crowd taught you not to take mess off of people who are messing you over as opposed to the nerds who sit there and try to talk it out, I don't know. After George Floyd, that wasn't the time for the nerds to do our thing. Our job was to bail people out. That was time for the soldiers to do their thing. You know, the folks that the news media calls the bad crowd. And I was there with them, and I bailed many of them out of jail. and would do it again tonight. So what I'm telling you is that you named off a resume. What you did not name off were character traits. Those character traits, if they only exist in the presence of your
90 seconds.
If those character traits only exist in the presence of your resume, then you don't actually have any character traits. That's the part I want you to understand. It seems counterintuitive, but it actually isn't. It's just that for you as a man, you're like, why come these aren't respected? And what I'm saying is they are respected, just probably not in the way you tell yourself that they are or they should be. And taking it from me, we don't get any brownie points for having been the nerds or the bright kids in school, brother. That doesn't get us points. How practical it is what gets us our rewards. And that's a tough pill to swallow. That you're saying, wait a minute, I could end up with the same parallel value as the guy who dropped out of school? Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Anyone who tells you otherwise is lying to you. Well, my teachers in school told me otherwise. Who do they work for again? Who pays their paycheck? You're old enough to understand that, by the way, don't go to a car dealership asking them what you need. A car salesman is only going to give you one answer. His answer to everything is going to be, you need a new car.
Yep.
You want to buy a house? Ooh, you should buy the car now.
10 seconds.
Even though you should do it in reverse. You need a new job? Oh, you both have a nice car. Kids going to college? Hey, you need 2 cars. Vacuum cleaner salesman. He makes his money off of selling vacuums. His answer to every problem you got is going to be, you need a vacuum cleaner. Well, guess what? Your teacher's answer to every question you have in life is going to be stay in school. You think she's going to tell you otherwise? Come on, folks. We got to be a little less naive. So you've been given a lot of misnomers. And I'm not saying that these things are not useful. I said before, well, these are useful. But they're not going to get the results you're looking for, which is genuine respect. The things you listed do not get genuine respect. The character traits that they're built on and the application of these things that you mentioned. Now that gets respect. You're approaching women expecting them to respect you because, well, I didn't do all the things that I consider to be the stuff that the bad guys do. There's where you're making your mistake.
Correct. Well, initially, when we started talking, I said 50-50. And from my experience, I just noticed that most women, they respected the men that, and my voice sounds like this because I am extremely tired. The women, they didn't respect the men that had what I mentioned to be positive attributes. They seemed to respect, well, not seemed, they did. They respected all the Pookie and Ray Rays, including women in my family.
Well,
the men that
I don't have the ability to talk. I don't have the ability to talk to them, so I can't really delve into that. But let's just say that everything you're saying is absolutely accurate. Once again, this is virtue signaling. Now, you might not mean to do that, but this is virtue signaling. You're singing your own praises. We've only got your word for it. We don't have the women who've dealt with you to tell us their side of the story. Because you might not be as virtuous a person to them as you tell yourself you are. You see, Jason Black is the only person you all have met who will tell you Jason Black's a straight ass. Anybody who tells you I'm not, that nigga lying. Either that or they're an ass too. But I'm the only person you all have met who will just come out and tell you that. The rest of you are going around talking about what saints and wonderful people you are. And I'm like, you know what? I wonder if I asked those women who met you if they would concur to the same degree and level that you are, or whether they would tell me something a little bit different and name some negative attributes about you that you would say, well, that's true, but that's not the majorly thing. That might be the major thing about you they remember. So like
oh
I
yeah,
say,
I know one negative thing that all of them will say about me, that I'm a hard ass.
Well,
I mean, ass, when they
but
they step out of line and start that disrespecting shit.
Your idea
Put them in check, and they don't like
your
it.
idea of when to quote put them in check may not be theirs. That's an opinion, but it may not be theirs. So what I'm saying is that with your level of hostility, that's the only response you're going to get, because that's the only one that you're giving. And the guys who are quote unquote the bad fellas, you're projecting that in many, many regards. Character traits are going to be more in line with it. But without that, I'm just telling you right now.
No, I don't hit.
I
don't hit women.
Well, sir, here's the real issue.
Got some comedians. Got a lot of comedians in the chat here.
Sir,
They're saying a lot of negative things.
Well,
I
sir,
wish they would call off.
You're doing a lot of talking. Let's calm down. I will point out one thing now.
I'm sorry.
You just said something. You said, I'm very tired. I'm extremely tired.
Yeah, I'm tired.
Slow down.
Yeah.
Slow down.
Yeah.
I just want to find out one thing. Why? Why are you so tired?
Well, I guess you already know that I go to church, and I honestly believe
no,
that.
No, sir, no.
I'm gonna tell you.
No, sir. You said I'm
tired.
I'm extremely tired.
I have a house, and I'm doing all of this work on the house by myself, and I was in the hospital in February and had heart surgery.
Okay. Well, please don't.
And I'm exerting myself.
Well, please don't
and I shouldn't be doing.
Well, please don't
exerting myself.
Please don't overdo that. However, what I will tell you here is, please understand something. You do not lead women with your words. You lead women with your actions and your results. That is how you lead women.
Right.
So what I am telling you here is that women are going to take a look at you and the life that you have, and they're going to say, well, that's the result of his leadership for himself. He now wants me to put myself under his leadership. Do I wish to share in the life that he's currently got? And you've got to take a look at yourself and be honest with yourself. Because when a man tells me that he's in his, now, did you say you're in your 50s?
I turned 61 in February.
He's turned 61 years old. So just understand, a woman is going to take a look at you at 61 and ask herself, does she wish to take a look at where he is? That is a direct result of his leadership. Do I wish to have his leadership in my life? And when a fella tells me he's tired and stuff like that, especially if they're over the age of 50, I work so many hours, just remember, to the women, that says spinning their wheels. Because if to have the life he has at 50, I didn't say 60, at 50, requires him to work a whole bunch of hours, you're either going to get a female who wants to exploit you for what you got, or she's going to say, wow, he's not very effective at having freedom. And do I wish to turn my life and give leadership over to a person who hasn't demonstrated that they know how to achieve freedom? Those would be tough pills to swallow. Well, I'm overexerting myself and stuff, and we don't want to do that there either. But once again, please remember, you're the person in charge. You're in charge of your life. You're in charge of where you are. You're not married. You don't have any children, correct?
Oh, I got 3 grandchildren, 2 children, grown children.
Oh, then he's got children.
Yeah, 3 grandchildren.
Okay.
Yeah, I got children. I got 3 grandsons.
Okay, sir, that's enough. How many wives have we had?
0. No wives. A lot of girlfriends, no wives.
I think you were telling me something about sexual promiscuity is for the bad guys.
Oh, man. Read between the lines. I've been there.
Okay. Remember what was the first thing that I mentioned as being the primary character trait of good people? They keep their word. Integrity is a key part of being a good person. And something that females get very good at identifying, because once they get screwed over by enough dudes, they get very good at identifying hypocrisy. lack of integrity.
Mm-hmm.
And once they even believe that they slightly have sniffed out lack of integrity, they start testing you all the time. Because the truth is, they do not believe you. Furthermore, nor should
that was
they.
20 years ago. 20 years ago, maybe longer.
Dude, you 60 years old.
Yeah, the black church ruined me.
You 60 years old. You talking about you was 40 years old. I mean, bro, that wasn't forever ago. You weren't children.
In my 30s.
I just want you to understand. I just want you to understand. I see why you feel the way you do. I just wanted to shed light on why you've been receiving the responses you have and why it's not going to change unless the way you approach things changes. Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight, James. Good phone call, very informative. Good phone call and very informative. I think you all are going to learn a lot from that, especially on replay. A lot to learn from there. Let's be very, very clear. Once again, I'll be the first to let you know I have no problem criticizing the females about their foibles and their failures. I have no problem with that. But as I stated at the beginning of the program here, fellas, you got to earn the right to make those criticisms. You got to earn the right. You got to earn the right. You got to take a look at where you are and where you're at. Y'all got a lot of smoke for the females and whatnot. I'm like, hey, have you looked at yourself to see exactly where you fall in the pecking order? Are you in a position to be taken fire or given fire? I want the fellas to understand how to get exactly what they want there. These are the rules. You all know. Anybody who asks me and whatnot, the phone call is going to go the same damn way. If you monitor it and watch it, you'll get the results from it there. And by the way, I was telling them the way in which to achieve power dynamics. A man who is in leadership is supposed to be stoic. How many times have you all had folk who sit up here and call me up and cuss me out and every damn thing else? Jason didn't respond in kind. I'm making jokes, things like that. Sometimes I flame some people, but that's only because I don't think they got much entertainment value. If I determine, not much entertainment value here, we're done with that. Let me go ahead and get back over here on Zoom. Oh, I've had this one playing the whole time, apparently. All right, let me go ahead and get back over here on Zoom. I think I got Dan. I ain't certain. All right, there you go, Dan. All right, brother, what's on your mind?
You hear me?
You're real muddled.
Yeah?
Okay, that might be better. I'm not sure.
Okay, cool. I had to call up. I've been listening since you first came on. A lot of great information as usual. I would like to touch on that too because when you touch on a lot of different things about knowing your worth and stuff like that. Early in the video, you said something about how a lot of car dealership be overcharging females and stuff like that. They almost did that. They almost did that at my at the funeral homes with my when I buried my old man back in 2020. And the good thing that I was leading instead of my sister because if I left it up to my little sister, they would have definitely jumped her because she was going there running her mouth, you know, and I had to go in there and by my sister went in there with me, and I had to instruct everything because they tried to pull the same thing too. And I told them in the door, like, hey, listen, y'all said this on this phone, so knock this price off. I take that off too, because we know how the funeral homes in the cemetery, how they use people emotion, especially when it comes to death for their loved ones, how they overcharge and overtax you. And that was, and so you 110% right on that.
Yeah, the funeral homes are really, I mean, you got to be careful out here today because especially you up there in Chicago, so the funeral homes are brisk business. But you do need to watch out for that. And you have to watch out for any environment where there are variable prices. For example, I mean, I named the car one because that's something that everyone can identify with. But funeral homes, mattress stores one in particular, like I'm saying, the places where the price is negotiable. You know, because when you get your car fixed, I mean, it could cost one thing in one place, and what they're giving you is the price they want to give you, which that's not a sale price that's listed. It's not like Walmart where there's the prices on here and you're shoplifting if you don't pay that. So when it comes to a car, prices are negotiable. Auto repair, prices are negotiable. Funeral homes, prices are negotiable. Mattresses, prices are negotiable. If a person, for those of you who don't know, if you're going to go shopping for mattresses, you better go shopping online. Go shop online. Even if you go to a place in person and whatnot, I promise you, the price that they're giving you is not the price. I promise you. You can get the price down at least by $100 or so because it's negotiable. A female go by herself and doesn't know this, she's probably going to pay whatever in the world they list.
And you know what? I'm glad you said that because
in the chat room, you got some folks talking about what? No, I'm serious. Anybody if you've gone to Mattress Plus, Mattress Etc., or whatever, no, the price is not actually. I've done this many a time. The price is not, that price they got listed there is really MSRP is what that is. If you tell them like let's say Kings Down or something like that, you tell them, or Serta, all you got to do is just tell them you got a place down the street or whatever, or better yet, if you can show them online that you found a price that was $100 or $200 less. He gonna sit there and play the, well, let me talk to the manager thing, and next thing you know, he's gonna bring on a sale or something, and the price is about to come down is what's gonna happen. So at the mattress stores, most people don't know that. At the mattress stores, those prices are really just a MSRP. I'm giving folks I'm saying MSRP, that's a term that most of you can wrap your heads around. It's not an MSRP, but I'm just saying that the price they give you there, that's basically a first attempt. But they can actually sell it to you for less. No, everything is not negotiable. Go to Walmart or Target. See if you can negotiate that at the checkout. See if you can negotiate that. No, everything is not negotiable. Go to Home Depot and see if you can negotiate your way through.
Yeah, and another thing, you was talking about know your worth. How a lot of dudes don't present they be so thirsty trying to get some sex, or they don't present themselves, as leadership. I'm just putting it all at once. Like just recently, I was out and about recently, and it was a woman. She, attractive sister, by the way. She asked me she saw me getting about a truck, and how I was able to put my wheelchair together fast and get in and out the truck myself with no help. So, because I don't have one of those standard wheelchairs that you fold up, I got those ones that made for rolling. So she was asking me a lot of questions because she was like, hey, well, I got a brother that's in your situation, and he act like he can't do nothing for himself. So then I go to ask her, do his arms work? Do his upper body strength work? She's like, yeah. I say, do y'all baby him? She was like, yeah, my mom kind of baby. I say, that's the problem. I say, even though it's tough, it's tough being in the situation, but remember, he's still a grown man. You can't baby him. And he got to have it in his mind to the point he got to be tired of being in the situation and want to go out there on his own and do things independently.
Well, so far, the other issue there, though, Dan, is that coddling a man, no matter what his circumstances, you're destroying him. I don't care if he got 2 good feet and 2 legs. If you're coddling him, you're destroying him on his feet. You're destroying him. You're robbing him of his self-respect. Self-respect. Remember I told you all confidence is a result of competence. Competence is a result of experience. He gets some wins under his belt, and there's where his self-respect comes from. There's where his esteem comes from. There's where fulfillment comes from. Y'all sit there babying him, and you're preventing him from adjusting to his new life, which is going to require a new set of challenges and obstacles for him to overcome. But if you're coddling him and babying him, he never gets to the point of overcoming them. So if he's in a depression or whatever, he's never going to get out of it because he hasn't proven to himself that he's still a man. He's still viable.
And I'm going to tell you something else too, Jason, and I'm going to have to keep it all the way 100. I weigh more than him. I'm a lot taller and weight more than him. So for me to be a bigger dude in order to move my body weight, got the strength to do, I could come up, I'm on my porch right now. I could come up down these stairs and grab this heavy ass wheelchair and pull my chair down and get myself back in the chair. I got a video that my brother recorded me doing it. I don't know if he put on this TikTok or not that, but a lot of people, you know what I'm saying, they never seen the dude who's paralyzed to do all that type of shit. But I ain't gonna lie to you, man, because I had to go through that. When I first came home and got out the hospital, I always thought about being independent because I never want to be one of them dudes. Because let me tell you something. When you give up on yourself, trust me, people give up on you too. That's when the disrespect come in. That's when the mistreatment come in. That's where people could do anything to you because they realize, hey, listen, he ain't got no motherfucker that's gonna stand for him. So you don't stand for yourself, ain't nobody else gonna stand for you. So every single day, I learn different shit every single day independently. You know what I'm saying? Now,
and once again, that applies to you, whether you in a wheelchair, a bed, you walking, you flying, that applies to everybody.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I would just so that but I was saying, like, for me, that man, when I realized when I realized that I could learn, I'm gonna learn, I got a lot of backlash for it. You know what I'm saying, with my own family, because of course they don't understand and they ain't understand it. And it ain't meant for everybody to understand it. So once I had in my mindset that, hey, I'm gonna be independent and still go out in the world and do what I'm supposed to do, because I still want my, because I'm always built on respect. I don't care about nobody liking me or nobody's personal opinion, because I'm gonna do what needs to be done. And once I learned how to do all that stuff and still doing it right now, it makes people around you look at you different. Like, damn, like, that's incredible what you're doing. Like, I wish, hey, I have a person that's in the situation. I wish they would learn how to build the self-confidence to be able to do that. You know what I'm saying? Because I already knew what it was. You know what I'm saying? Once I got hospitalized. So, so to me, that's part of my manhood. So, and other women respect you because even other women will be like, hey, listen, he might not can't move. You know what? But I could trust him or rock with him because, hey, he don't want nobody. He ain't expecting nobody to take care of him. You know what I'm saying? So I think that make women respect you more though.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Women respect, I put these things in the context of women because once again, these are things that men can wrap their heads around.
I'm sorry about that.
But women respect you for the exact same reasons that men respect you. That's the one thing I want. I'm putting this in a container and in a wrapper that men can understand. But the truth of the matter is because I have to communicate to people. So that's something that most men can identify with, except the ones who ain't looking for a woman, in which case I'll try a different example for them. But the things that make you valuable to other men, that make you valuable to society in general, excelling at things, that's not something you just do for your woman. Your woman is a beneficiary of that.
Yeah.
And if you make that a woman respects a man who makes those kinds of things a way of life. So it just seems like what I'm saying is the way in which to get them in line is to show that you got integrity and to show you got everything in place. That's what gets them in line with that, because now you've given them a program and agenda. A woman is going to have people trust a guy who is solid. Well, guess what? Women are people too. And they trust a man who is solid. But if you wavy and wobbly and this, that, and the other, you're not going to be solid. I'll let you have the last word.
I don't have any last word, but I will say that, I always enjoyed, what I'm saying, watching your content and, what I'm saying, and break things down to simplest form ever. And you're doing it at your own pace. Not at your own pace, but you're doing it you're doing it totally different from everybody else doing it. You ain't using the same dumbass talking points that a lot of these other dudes do. So that really makes you stand out more.
Well, they're not going to be responsible for it. The one thing is, when I tell y'all something, I'm going to be responsible for it. I'm going to stand on it. Anybody can question me anytime you want me to. I will stand on every word that I've said. These other folks ain't going to stand on it. And like I pointed out to y'all, the red pill is dead because when it was time for them to stand by, they got aced on their own damn program. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight, Dan. We appreciate that. A lot of lessons for you all to learn here tonight. A lot of lessons for you to learn. Glad we were able to go ahead and follow up on this as well here. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up for you all tonight. Fellas, know your worth. Know your worth. Know your worth. The women made that a mantra. I want the men to understand it as well. Know your worth and understand what that means and why it's important. Hope we disavowed you some misnomers here tonight. I didn't say you're going to like everything, but you're going to be able to use everything. Know your worth. To the men, know your worth. Very easy, very seductive to forget about that, but it's essential that you remember it because everybody else is remembering it. I want to thank everyone who has contributed to support tonight's program on PayPal, CashApp, Super Chat, Venmo. Steve Mayfield, thank you very much for your support tonight. We appreciate that. Paris Knight, I think this is your first time leaving the Super Chat. Thank you very much as well. Larry, anything goes. Appreciate you as well here, brother Plant-Based Trucker. And if you are new here to the business, welcome to the program that all your favorite YouTubers love to hate watch. Click that red subscribe button, click that yellow notification bell. Join us each and every time that you're here, that we're here. If you haven't been to our Patreon, the link is in the description. As the folks told you here, a lot goes down over there. Some stuff I don't get to say here on YouTube as well. So you're welcome to join us there also. I want to thank all of you for joining us for tonight's program. Thank you for watching live or recorded. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and sharing. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of The Business. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, Mr. Jason Black. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, handle your business or your business will handle you.